Do you need to share? Anybody need to
I'm
share?
getting on the Zoom thing right now.
Okay.
Amy, we'll just talk about her budget, but when we get into the county stuff,
Okay.
I'll have Adam get me into it and I can share.
Sue, you ready?
I am.
Yeah, Terry?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, it's 1 o'clock. So let's get
Let's
this
roll.
thing going, if you wouldn't mind. Amy, thanks for being here. And
Chairman Gosar and Commissioners, thank you for having me and letting me present on our budget. I'd like to start by thanking you for all the support the last 3 years. It's been a ride. It's been exciting. And I can say that the airport, we're finally at a place where we are in full compliance in all areas. We have little things that obviously as we do inspections that come up or minor things, but no fatal flaws left at the airport. So we're very excited to be at a point where we're transitioning some of our focus from compliance. We're still obviously worried about, we keep an eye on safety and compliance, but over to revenue. We haven't even looked at our revenue detailed until this year. We completed this year. We spent about $560,000 the last year to get our books in order. So we actually have books, and for the first time we have cost centers. So I'm able to look at the cost centers at the airport and kind of identify what we're looking at. We have 4 cost centers that we have selected. We have a business, we have the business park, which is all that empty land we have out there. And the heirloom building. That is one business center. So it's as we start to grow the business park and put businesses in there, that will be the business park. We have what we call our fixed based operator. And we're very fortunate here in Albany County. Not every airport owns their FBO. We actually own the FBO, which generates a lot of revenue and fuel sales. So that is a significant revenue generator for us. And that's where all your private flights come in, all your charters, things that are not airline based when they're flying general aviation. That usually comes, not all the general aviation, but that comes in through the FBO. We have the Laramie Regional Airport, which is everything outside. If it is the runways, the perimeter fence, the parking lots, everything, the snow removal, it's everything the airport actually manages. And that would include in that also includes, we have some private tenants and we have other tenants out on the airport. That is in our Laramie Regional Airport, and then we have a terminal. And the terminal is all of our commercial aviation. It's the TSA, it's SkyWest, and it's everything out at the airport. So as we put together our cost centers this year, this is the first time we were actually able to break them out and see where we're at. With that, we have one cost center that's in the black. Our business park makes about $75,000 a year. The FBO loses about $19,000 a year. The Laramie Regional Airport is losing about $90,000 a year, and the terminal about $44,000 a year. Now, granted, most airports aren't self-sustaining. That is our goal. That's a statutory requirement. That is our goal. It's given us a great opportunity to look at the airport and see what we need to do to make some money. We've decided to bring on an operations manager. He's actually flying out tomorrow to visit Laramie. We've made a conditional job offer. By doing that, I will be able to pull myself out of the operation and start looking at the actual business. So this year, we've talked to the board, and what we plan to start doing is focusing on business and revenue generation. And what that looks like. We're still in talks with United Airlines about diversions. We're looking at traditional and non-traditional ways to bring money out there. I think one of the best things we have going out there is we have all that real estate that we need to start looking at developing. So I've been meeting with the Laramie Chamber and the Board of Tourism to figure out how we can partner with them, what we can do out there. So we are slowly transitioning into that, looking at our advertising costs and trying to figure out where we can make money in different areas of the airport. Something I thought I would report is we had a Part 13 complaint go in last July. It went to the FAA. One of the few airports in the state of Wyoming that have received a Part 13 complaint. We had 15 complaints on it, and I believe we were asked to respond to 7 or 8 of those complaints. About 3 weeks ago, we received the results from the FAA, and there are no findings. One of the strong recommendations, and I think that I will present to the board next week, I haven't presented to them, is we need to have our rules and regulations. We have to have that lined out. That document still doesn't exist, and we need to have minimum standards. Those are 2 governing documents of the airport. We've started working on one. I think we kind of slowed down. There were some politics there. I think we need to get those 2 documents in order this year as well for everybody at the airport. But overall, I think we're doing very well. It's a really good snapshot of where we are. I can talk to every area of the airport, every dollar that goes out, all of our grants. I would say the team out there has a very clear understanding of where we're at. And that's the first time I think I'm standing in front of you saying I understand where every penny's going and I understand why. So any questions about it, I can talk to it. In the last 3 years, what we've been spending money on. We're asking for $205,000. I know that's higher than what we've typically asked for. The reason we're asking for the $5,000 at the end is we asked the city and we're asking you for the extra $5,000. We're going to start a savings account. And I know we're going to put $10,000 into it this year. And we're going to just slowly start to do a savings account in case we have something major happen while we're trying to get to a place where we can be self-sustaining. I don't anticipate, we've talked about doing a fee study. It's $40,000 to $60,000 to do a fee study at the airport. I like the idea of bringing in an independent contractor and coming in to review all the costs at the airport. My concern with doing that is it's $40,000 to $60,000 that we don't necessarily have. But what I would like to do, so we're working with our board chair, we're going to work with our treasurer. I would like to be able to understand it's going to take us 25 years to be self-sustaining at these rates. It's going to take us 5 years to be self-sustaining at these rates. I think we have to have a better snapshot moving forward, what it's going to take us to be a place where we can afford to run the airport. I can't keep coming in here and asking for more money every year. I need to be able to say, here are the projections. I do think of the cost of doing business at the airport overall is going to go up a bit. That's not unheard of. We're negotiating a lease right now that hasn't been touched for 30 years. So we are still dealing with some of those old prices. We've put CPIs on most everything we're doing. So as the economy goes up, we watch and we charge accordingly. So those are some of the things we're doing short, just a real quick snapshot. But I am looking at this year as having some goals, what our goals are every year to make money or to get to a better place in revenue. But please ask me any questions, where money's being spent, what we're doing.
Could you give me those numbers again for the business park, Heirloom Center, FBO?
Sure. So the business park net profit is $75,259,000.38. That's the net profit. The net loss for the Cowboy Aviation or the fixed based operator is $19,883.58. Just to give you an idea on that one, our revenue was about 1.5 million. So we are moving money in those. We're just looking at what the difference is. With that number specifically, we still have full tanks of gas. So it's hard to offset those yet. We haven't sold the gas that's still in the tanks. And we have about 30,000 on the field. No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. We have 36,000 or 26,000 on the field of jet fuel. And then for the Laramie Regional Airport, we're at a loss of $90,996.15. And the terminal, we're at a loss for $44,963. I think what's really important to identify here in the terminal, when we talk about the terminal, we didn't really have a sustainability plan when we built that terminal. So for example, just the HVAC system alone cost us $25,000. So we're looking at different ways of doing that. We're looking at changing and going with a local company. So for long-term sustainability, we're working with United and TSA on those contracts, making sure they're industry appropriate and that they're working for the airport. Another thing that I talked to the city a little bit about, a lot of the salaries are under Laramie Regional Airport. There's a certain belief or thought that we have too many employees out there. We do have, our staff is much bigger than what it originally was. We are hiring employees for compliance. I'd like to say it's for customer service, and we're really fortunate we have kind people that work there and they're good at customer service, but it's compliance. Without the employees that we have on and the specialized skills, we wouldn't be able to keep that airport in compliance. We have, interesting of note, is we have the same regulations for Part 139 that DIA has. And I know that, and we're in a very different financial, and everything's very, very different, but the same regulations, same expectations. That goes for the DEQ when we talk about fuel and Class A certified inspectors, and we have to have all these on the field and they're required to be there. Those are really important areas as we look at our staffing. If I don't have the appropriate staffing and the appropriate training, we just don't succeed. So there is more staffing on shift. We have crossover on shift, but it's really so that we can do our monthlies, do all these different compliance issues while we're working. We do have a front desk that's new. We didn't have that 3 years ago. but I think that's how we're collecting our revenue. So that's also when people are landing and coming in, that's how we're able to collect the revenue that way. So, but yes, any other?
And the ask is 205 from both the city and the county, so a total of 410.
Yes. And I presented to the city, I think 2 weeks ago, and they approved it. I think they had a 2-year, I think there's a 2-year budget or 2-year ask. They did, some of the feedback was they don't know if they can sustain that for a long time. So I'm keenly aware that that's a big ask.
Commissioners, any other questions?
So which front desk are you talking about, in the FBO or?
Yeah, we have full-time staff there now.
Oh, okay.
So we staff that
That's
full-time.
the only front desk I could think of.
Yeah, we staff that from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. Those are our summer hours. In the winter, we go a little bit. We change the hours a little bit, but that's what we're staffing at right now.
Is every hangar under lease? And so this is an essential, this is like a snapshot of what it would be like fully leased out.
Every hangar is currently under lease. We have someone in every hangar. Some leases are cut. That's incorrect. We have one hangar left that we have not negotiated a lease with. But some hangars, so for example, the University of Wyoming's contract is coming up right now. So we're renegotiating that lease right now. We own the Allsop building, and we're working on our grants. That we're not necessarily using it as a hangar. It's actually a terrible, we rent it right now. We don't own it. It's not leased out because the cutout is too small for us to put a plane in. Most planes, you have to put the smaller planes in. So we're looking at putting our SRE stuff over there. We're getting a fire truck this year. And we had to cancel commercial service because our fire truck had problems last year and we had to bring one in from Casper. So I think it makes sense in Laramie to have a backup fire truck. We cannot use the city of Laramie. We used to have it in our ACM that we could use the city of Laramie fire, but because those are structural fire trucks, we have to bring in a secondary, or we have to have a secondary truck. So we're going to keep both trucks on the field until we have the addition on our SRE building. We are going to use the Allsop building for staging for our fire trucks. The cold hangar is not leased. That's intended to be every night. And we have space in another hangar where we can lease every night. But everything that is, we're looking at long-term leases, have all the leases secured.
Is the hangar that the board purchased, is that currently
It's leased, yes.
leased
Mhm.
for how much?
I believe it's $500 a month. Which is interesting because the Front Range is closing down some of the hangars. So the individual he was super excited and said, "That's really cheap, thank you." And the back of my mouth, ah! But yeah, so that I believe it's 500. I don't think it's 6. I think we brought it down from 6 and put it at 5. But it is currently leased.
And then these figures are including expenses or payroll, all of that stuff, or is those separate? So are these just?
This is everything in those cost centers.
Yeah.
So we pulled out the bond money. What did we pull out? Do you remember, Tracy? Off the top of my head. Hang on just a second.
Grants.
Yeah, so
The non-match stuff.
yeah, we pulled out the non-match. So the grants are not in there and we set that money aside. What we did do this, when we had all of our COVID money, we took about $700,000 and set it aside, and that's our match money. So that is, we are going to be able to cover our match. So that is not in these numbers. These are purely what the operations are out there. So we will be able to meet all of our matches coming up as those come up.
So I just want to be, so it's about $80,000 loss total from all 4 business parts added together. And that includes payroll. Am I getting that right?
Yes, and I'd have to do my calculator to get the exact, but yes, I think you're real close.
Yeah, so 75
Yeah.
minus 20 minus 90 minus 44.
Yep.
Okay. And then the question for me is why 205 from each of us if the net loss is about 80,000?
So we have money to build the infrastructure.
Okay.
It's so like we've even talked about putting a gravel lot in and just storing campers. If we don't have money to do that, we can't do any of those projects. So that is what we were asking for. And there are also unexpected costs that are continuing to come up. I'm hoping we're done with those. We don't have vehicle maintenance schedules, so we don't have all of our vehicles on maintenance schedules yet. There's been long-term neglect on a lot of the equipment out there. So sometimes we don't even know it's an issue. And then there's just basic wear and tear. So we still have to get all of our stuff on maintenance. For example, we were just talking about the cables on the hangars. A lot of our hangars have old cables on them that we haven't replaced or looked at. We got to get those. We have to replace roofs, some of the roofs. So some of those things we're able to spread out the cost, and some of those costs are not for infrastructure. Some of those costs are still going to repair those things, because when they happen quick. For example, we just did our lighting project on the runway, and we have what we call a vault. It's where all our electrical stuff is for the field. It's leaking, the roof is leaking. So water was getting in on top of everything in the vault. So that was a quick, and it wasn't too expensive. I mean, it's under $1,000, but we needed to fix that. We have other issues where we have a hangar where we have a Platus that we store. It's leaking. We need to eventually fix that hangar, but we don't have, it keeps moving down on the list of things to do. So there are different places where we do need to address maintenance. We just haven't had the money to necessarily go after those yet.
Amy, as far as the compliance, are we just up to compliance now? Are we due for another check soon, or how does it work?
I get them constantly. So
Oh, okay.
2 weeks ago, I had SkyWest come out, do a fuel audit. We were at 96%, so there were 4% of the thing, or some things that we needed to fix. I had Homeland Security show up last week. We were 100%. We passed that with flying feathers. We will have our actual Part 139 inspector. So that's the inspector who drives the whole field, looks at everything. He's for the airlines. He will come out and do a huge inspection this summer, and they don't usually tell us when in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So we are constantly getting checked on compliance.
And you never know when any of these compliance tests are coming?
We kind of have an idea because they're usually annual. A good example is we're trying to get into diversions. So Southwest called and said, we're going to have somebody on the field next week. They showed up 2 days later and did an inspection, and we passed. So I guess the way we train out there is be ready for a compliance inspection tomorrow on anything. I don't like the idea of scrambling right before the inspector gets there, because that means we're trying to fix something that's out of compliance. We should just be operating at such a level. I do like the inspections, and I know that sounds crazy, all the different inspections, because they are able to identify things that maybe slipped. Last year, for example, when Homeland Security came in, there's a transportation vetting portal. So we were doing background checks through the sheriff's office here. There's also a transportation vetting portal I should have put all the employees through, and I got a letter of investigation because I didn't even know it existed. I mean, like, he said, well, where are you doing the TVP? And I said, I don't even know what that is. So quickly we identified a shortcoming and we fixed it. So I do like to have people come in and spot check us and make sure we're still covering all the compliance areas in case we've missed something. But as of now, my understanding is everything is in compliance. And when I say in full compliance, like I said, we were at a 96, so there's 4% of things we need to fix on a SkyWest inspection. But those don't make me nervous. It's when we get back a list of items that we are out of compliance and there's significant safety issues.
And you budgeted for continual education and training?
Yes. Something maybe when we talk about training might be something different from the way we used to do it. Everybody at the airport, myself including, has a backup behind them, whether it's 2 people that can do your job or 1 person, so that anyone leaves at any time. I would say if somebody wins a lottery and doesn't want to come back to work, that job will not go uncovered. So we're getting people to have the same certification. So when 1 certification is required, it makes sense to have 2 people have it in case we have a problem. So we are definitely moving in that direction. So at all times, if we have an employee move or change out, everybody can slip in and cover those positions as well. So when we do training, it is a higher training expense, but then it ensures the airport is bigger than any 1 person at all times.
I guess this question is for you, Tracy or Kayla. Where would this money come from if you were to recommend? I know there's money in economic development. I don't know if that's.
There's not enough in economic
Yeah,
development.
there is.
$97,000 in my account right now.
197?
No, $97,000.
97.
And that's used to also pay utilities on the Beach Street building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also receives rent every month from the MTA. Yeah.
So do you have a recommendation at all?
I think that's part of the discussion we need to have. I think we could do 1% or.
That's where I threw it in right now, just so we'd have the number in there.
There's in the community, in the budget totals, there's still the 100 in the economic development, just left over from last year. Not saying that's where we're
Yeah.
by any means, but I'm hesitant to say direct aid only because, I mean, this is gonna be some operational monies that involve personnel costs, and that's not appropriate for direct aid funds. So I would lean more towards 1%.
Okay. And it doesn't have to be an exact answer. I was just trying to figure out in my mind.
I threw it in there in the 1% community, just so we had the number.
The whole 205?
Mhm. Don't just put the 105.
No, maybe take the other one out.
Okay.
Or maybe you guys give us direction on.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure that we had in there, so when we look at numbers.
So we don't have it in two places, so we should, I'll make a note to make sure, double check that.
Okay.
It's in.
Economic
the 100
development.
in-
Yeah, I saw that 100 and
Like I said, that was just left over from last year because that's what we did last year.
And was the city doing 205 each year for the next 2 years, or are they doing 205 for their biennium budget? So 102.5
It's 205 each year,
each year.
I believe is what they did.
Okay.
And hopefully I can come in and ask for less as we start to focus on this. I think it's the first time we've actually seen the money, where the shortcomings are, where we need to start identifying revenue.
All right, any other questions, commissioners? Commissioners? Thank you, Amy, I appreciate it.
Thank you. And please, if you have any more questions, feel free to contact me, reach out, let me know.
Okay,
And any suggestions on revenue, if you want us to partner on anything, let us know on that as well. So,
thanks.
thanks.
Mhm. I just wanted to be able to share my screen. And this one. The one I got here, when it says it wants me to start the meeting. Mhm. No, because I think it's this one. I never got one. I just registered though. Mhm.
So it did show you.
Yep. Mhm. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. When you said it.
Hey, Kayla,
Yo.
your email in the registration's incorrect. You did .wy.gov.
Ah, that would do it. So you didn't actually.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and maybe register.
Tracy, where'd you guys put that request from airport so that I know where I'm looking?
1% is where you got the whole 205, Kayla?
That's what you said.
So should I remove it from
Yeah.
economic development?
Yeah, we don't want it in both places.
Okay, I deleted it.
County WY.
That makes sense. Interesting. Yeah. Thank you.
And Taylor's on. Yeah, Taylor's on. If you
Yeah,
guys-
I'm just
you're ready
waiting
to
if you guys
go.
are ready to go.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. I just wanted to get so that I can co-host when we get into the regular budget stuff, so I can put stuff on.
Taylor, are you ready? I know we're early on you, and so if you're not, that's fine.
No, that's just fine. I'm ready. I was just listening to the previous one, so.
Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for being here and being early, and however you want to start, why don't you just start with us?
Perfect. So I did want to make a correction. Commissioner Ibarra did call me yesterday and we spoke about this on my Google form. It did not add two of the lines. So if you go to our income on the bottom right-hand side, it did not have the 106,000 or the $10,000 there. So that total is actually 204,301.71. is what it should have been on the budget that I turned in. I do have updated numbers as of today. If you would like them, I'm more than happy to give those to you. So in terms of that, just to make that correction itself, I didn't have 2 lines added in on accident. I just added them in and it came up to the 204,000.
Thank you, Taylor. Any questions about any of that? Okay,
All
all
right.
right.
So I just wanted to start by giving you some updates about the fairgrounds and kind of what we're doing and where we're at. We have some changes and some improvements coming up that are very exciting for us. We're working with our Alumni Association, which is set up as a 501c3 nonprofit. And it is, we are doing some really cool updates out here. So that'll be fun to see in the next several months. It will take us a little while to get some of those done. We are getting ready to have our 121st Albany County Fair, the end of July into the beginning of August. And that is pretty much all set up, ready to roll, good to go. I fortunately have 2 young ladies in my office this year that are, one of them is my fair time assistant and the other one is my office assistant. And I've got them both on task, so we should be golden for fair coming up. And in terms of the overall functionality of the fairgrounds, we've reduced staff turnovers quite a bit, which is very, very nice. And we've been able to, the board has increased compensation to a more livable wage. And so that has helped tremendously with making sure that the management stays here. We've also made some changes to the way that we operate out here, and it's been more financially beneficial to the fairgrounds. So that way we're able to be a little more self-reliant in some aspects. Our outdoor storage is becoming more and more popular. We have folks that are storing with us almost weekly. We get somebody to move their stuff in. And so that's becoming more popular as just a semi-consistent revenue stream for that. Our winter storage is still just as popular as it was. And we're actually going to be able to fit more units in there this winter, so that we should see an increase there in income. We are fortunate that we are having more dual rentals. That has been one goal of mine, and we've been able to do that, meaning that if we have our activities building rented one day, our poultry barn or our beef barn might also be rented. So we've had those inspected by the fire marshal. Everything is golden. And so we're cruising along with our dual rentals, lots of weddings and receptions and things that we're having. So that's nice that we're hitting a dual income stream. Because for a long time, people didn't think that you could do multiple building rentals in one day. And so that's nice that we've increased that. Other than that, and other than the Alumni Association becoming more active, that's kind of the overall piece to it. In terms of myself, I will graduate in December with my certified fair executive designation. And I will be one of 3 fair managers in the state to have that. So that's nice that it's kind of fun to get it. It's a lot of interesting classes. This last one was, there was one class that was very interesting in capital improvements. So it's kind of been an interesting course to take. And then the other thing in terms of just the fairgrounds, we have updated all of our books, and it accurately reflects what we do now, since we don't have pig wrestling anymore or any of those fun items at fair. Those are now completely out of our books. So everything else accurately now reflects what we do in 2024, which is very nice that we don't have all these extra things just sitting on our QuickBooks. In terms of the budget, we did increase our revenue stream for rentals, and we reduced our overall cost for operation. We found that we've had, because of we're on an aging facility, we did have several leaks that we got fixed. So we've been able to reduce a lot of our operating costs in terms of our water bill, and just making sure that our infrastructure, we're being proactive rather than reactive. We're kind of hitting that point where we can be proactive with our maintenance, which is very, very nice. Our fair expenses are projected to go up. However, included in our fair expenses are all the checks that we write to the kids that sell animals. So that does look like a large number. However, most of that gets paid back out to the kids. This last year, we paid out a little over $800,000 to the kids. So that's where a lot of that comes into play. It looks like a large number. It's really not. In terms of income on that side, again, it includes our livestock sale, so that's what everybody paid. That also includes our judges, superintendents, awards, hotel rooms for judges, et cetera, et cetera. So the expense there is a little bit higher than what would make sense to a person. But if you think about it in terms that we pay a lot of that out because of the fair and because of the kids selling animals, then it kind of puts it into perspective. Our operational income has gone up a little bit from the projected or the year to date currently, just because a lot of our storage items were paid for in April after I submitted the budget. So we have gone up just a little bit from there, which has been very nice. So I've projected us to be about $30,000 higher than we were last year overall in terms of income. We're sitting about even with our shooting range. Right at the end of the year, we'll get some more money in for different fees and things that the shooting range charges, and we'd still do allow people to come out and shoot for the day. So that will increase just a little bit more. I've kept that pretty even with where I've had it the last couple of years, just because we've not evaluated prices or anything there. Those all kind of stayed pretty even keel and same amount of people coming out, et cetera, et cetera. But other than that, I have bolded the number for the county treasurer because I had gotten the number from Tracy later, and I had not put that in there yet. And then we've asked for the 20,000 in 1%. I believe we got 21,000 last year or something of the sort. We use that for our facilities and grounds just because we are on an aging grounds, and most of our money that we use to fix things comes from our rentals. And so just making sure that we have somewhere to or some way to pay for if we have a large issue come up, that we have ourselves covered, or some of those larger bills that come up, tools, equipment that we have to buy, those types of things. Other than that, though, I don't really have anything else unless you guys have some questions for me.
Thank you, Taylor. Commissioners, any questions?
No.
Okay, Terry, anything? And so the total ask would be the 20K from 1%. Is that entirely, Taylor?
The 20K from 1%, and then our mill funding.
Yeah.
Which is the number Tracy got to me earlier, that you guys, if you approve that specific number, then I have the correct number. But I always check in with Tracy to make sure that we have the right numbers for things.
Do you need that number?
Yeah, let's do that.
$341,467.07.
And that's 1 mil forward.
That's their, it's not 1 mil, but it's their mil.
Their mill levy. Okay. So it looks like you just got $6,467 more dollars. Taylor, with the updated bill.
Which is nice. However,
Yeah.
with the
good.
rising cost of everything else,
Something that they can use that.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
we do.
Any other questions for Taylor, or Tracy, or Sonny, or Amanda for Taylor? Well, we'll turn you loose to your day, Taylor. I really do appreciate you taking the time and updating the numbers for us.
And
Yeah.
congratulations, Taylor, on your graduation or your degree attainment.
Thank you. It'll be exciting. It'll be fun to be one of only 3 in the state that has that. So it's been a 2-year venture.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
Well, if you guys need anything else, I'll be available by phone this afternoon. Please feel free to call. I'm just going to be working on some stuff here. So
Thanks, Taylor. Appreciate
thanks.
it.
Bye.
So,
Work the fire.
yeah, do one of you?
Tracy, do
guys-
you want to go? I've got myself down at 425 unless you want to.
Yeah. The next one is like 2:10.
Sure,
So we've
I
got
can-
like 30 minutes.
It'll take 5 minutes. I've asked for $500 more.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
No.
How dare
I'm just
you?
kidding.
Where's the nose stamp? Where's the nose stamp?
She's got a good wet pad.
Right.
I think, well, there's probably an additional little bit of an increase for personnel that when Amanda went through and updated all the current salaries and things like that.
His
which-
workers' comp went up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I asked for $500 more in advertising, because we moved our tax sale up a month. And so I'm anticipating we're gonna be advertising more people for the tax sale. Because of there's so many people that are used to our tax sale being in September and paying the day before. That I think we're going to,
So you're gonna have it in August?
yeah, August 9th will be our tax sale this year. And going forward, it'll be in August.
I'm just curious, what made you decide to change that?
Several reasons. It's hard.
This isn't the hot seat, this is just.
No, but there are several reasons. Sunny wanted it changed. Just kidding, no. I mean, she did want to change, but, it falls on that first Thursday after Labor Day, which made it really
Oh,
hard.
sure,
with,
that makes sense.
And then the property tax county refund one, we changed it, of course, before we knew that the legislature was moving that due date till October. Tax bills are going out.
Shared up there.
Sunny gets the tax roll and has to balance tax roll in August. And so it become a little overwhelming for staff to try to do all the things at the same time.
Yeah, well, I just, thank you for telling me that, because I was, yeah, very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this first year goes with the change, but we did pull, I shouldn't say I pulled, Sunny and Brianna pulled all the other counties to make sure we weren't on the same day, because
Sure.
all of the counties have pretty much the same groups that go from county to county to county to purchase the tax liens.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's my only real request is $500 more. Everything else I've left the same.
Well, that'll take a lot
Big
of.
spender.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I could spend more.
Couldn't we all?
Given the property tax refund program, I left it at 160,000, just not knowing what that's going to look like. I know the state program, their threshold is higher for the income levels, but I have plans to do more advertising to get it out there this year, which gives us more time too, since the rules, hopefully you'll be approving the rules June 28th. And then I can have from July 1st, basically till October to start advertising and.
And you think 500 is enough?
Pardon me?
You think the additional 500 is enough for that advertising?
That's the advertising for my tax sale. But the other advertising I'm planning on doing is through the property tax.
Oh,
refund
okay.
program.
Okay.
But,
She knows where we are though.
I think, if there's some free avenues, of course, that I'm going to utilize for the advertising for the property tax refund program. You know, they have the 2 radio shows on Hits 106 and then Eric Henderson with Talk Shop. I don't know why I always call it Talk Soup, but I'm working with him and doing some advertising on back of tickets or something like that. I think I'm not sure exactly what those coupon things are. Our schedules haven't been touching base. I'll get with them eventually, but if I do need additional money, like Terry said, I absolutely know where to find you guys.
Well, that's not much of an ask, Tracy, so
Yeah.
it's appreciated.
And you feel comfortable with the 160 for the property tax refund?
Right now, it's really hard to say, not knowing, because we don't get the report from the state until the end of September. If it's starting to look like we're gonna need more money, I know where to find you again. I hope we use every single thing of it, to be honest, but last year I was hoping we would too, but we did have only 1 month to turn the program around and notify people. And we only used like a little over 40,000. And I really would like to at least not use all of it, at least double the needs out there in the community.
Yeah. Okay, I just didn't want to, if we needed 250, just to have 160 in there, but
I will.
I know you guys know your business, so fantastic. Any other questions? All right, look at us run right through this thing. We
Yep.
got Rachel at 210, right?
correct?
We can, I can either go through mine or we can work on, 1% community partners if you want to work on that right now. That was after,
That was like,
No,
Tomorrow?
it's right after
Today?
Rachel.
it's after
Yeah, it's
Rachel,
a-
but we could do it for her if you wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah, let's use the time.
Okay. Okay, let me get it up on the screen here. Okay. Okay. I'll share it now. Oh, can you read that? Because I can't.
oh, I've changed the view. Go to the view tab.
There she got it.
Because that's like on a print preview
Yeah.
view.
I was gonna say, I've got binoculars in my car. I could break it.
I'll make it bigger for us.
We always talk about needing binoculars in the office to look at the plate numbers.
Yeah.
I'll get some, I'll get her. I'll get her in there. Just give me a second. There we go. Can you read that?
Yep.
Okay, I'll go to the top. I guess you guys get to decide. I'm just gonna add numbers and you can go through and decide what you wanna.
Do you want,
He
so
has reports.
I have reports.
Oh, perfect.
So as you know, we did do agreements this year with all the 1% funding. So as part of that, those agreements did include reports due by May 31st, and then an additional report if you haven't spent all your funds by May 31st, an additional report in July. Right now, we had 5 people that did not turn a report in by May 31st. We had Cathedral Home, Foster Closet, Railroad Depot, Safe Project, and Science Loves Art. Out of all the reports that did get turned in, we have 2 that have not spent all their funding just yet. One of them was Epson Center with $194 still remaining. And then the other one was Interfaith with $13,077.53 remaining.
Epson Center gets money for gas. So.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we're pretty sure they'll use.
I was gonna
$194.
say, I'm pretty sure they always use it.
Yeah. We're sure they'll use that. They just hadn't, I mean, they still have a
I
month to
gotcha.
use it,
I'm
but
sure they'll-
Interfaith was kind of a red flag to us because it was $13,000.
Could you go through the names of those that haven't reported yet?
Yeah, of course. Cathedral Home.
Okay.
Foster Closet. Railroad Depot. Safe Project. And Science Loves Art. And Brady sent out multiple reminders.
I'm just nodding his head. Yeah, he's done that.
Yeah.
You don't know if they've spent their money either.
We have no clue because we never got a report. And this year, the money we did just give them a check when the money came in. Next year, we're moving more towards a reimbursement. So we'll keep a little bit better tabs on it next year. But
Live and learn.
baby steps. I mean, this whole agreement was new to them this year, so.
But it's not new.
No,
They do
it's
with
not
the
new in
city,
general.
so
I mean,
because-
but it was new from the county, so.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate that there was multiple emails coming from Brady and Bailey's office to the nonprofits. Alerting them of the time, alerting them of the fillable PDF. Thank you very much.
And I mean, we've had ARPA funding too. We had reports and quite a few of these had ARPA funding as well. We're seeing continuous issues with a couple of them, but this is 1% money, so I don't want to drag in the other.
Yeah. So as we go through this, my one request would be, we just put the downtown clinic at the end and I'll leave the building and I'm not gonna ask any questions. It will be what it will be. So I guess we could just How would anybody like to pursue? Just straight down?
Yeah, let's just
Top
do
to
that.
bottom?
It's up to you
Okay.
guys, Yep.
So
think that's
Cathedral
the
Home
easiest.
was 20,000 requested in last year, 20,000 was approved. They requested 20,000. They're ones without no reports. Commissioners, any thoughts about that? Is there a way to do,
Say we have 20,000 for you, but you're short of report.
that's what I'm wondering, exactly what I'm thinking. How do we do that? And Brady and Bailey, please feel free to weigh in on that.
I don't really know. I mean,
You could allocate it contingent on,
then how much time do they get to,
yeah,
Exactly, how much
Yeah.
more time do they get?
to submit their report? I mean, my thing is that these are public, the whole point behind it is that they're public funds and they should be accountable for the money that they're getting. So that was the point of the reporting, but they should also be spending the money on what they're asking it for too.
Right.
And so it sounds like, number one, we don't know if they've spent their money, and number two, they have not submitted a report. So
Yeah,
What if you did, because we're not adopting the final budget today, what if you gave them the opportunity to submit that report by June 28th? And if they do not, they lose their funding. Or they risk losing it. I don't want
the
to,
risk,
I don't want to sound like the jerk, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well,
what's
we
happened
could
on
draft
several
something,
grants.
we could have something coming from the grants office that just says, the commissioners went through the budget. You could risk losing funding for future years if you do not get your report in. I think we shouldn't wait till June 28th.
I was
think
gonna
we
say
need to
that's way
wait
too long.
before that, because
Well, no, but that would be their
formal
hard
letter in the
Yeah.
mail.
Yeah.
deadline or before we advertise. They-
and maybe you do a formal letter as well as an email.
Yeah.
Maybe follow it up with a formal letter that comes.
We can do it just like we did letters with ARPA,
Mm-hmm.
and send the email and then follow it up with the formal.
Yeah.
But how much time would you guys like?
I think they should have been done by May 31st, and so they should have 2 weeks is plenty of extra time.
15th of this month.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The 15th of the month is fine. I know it's
15th
the
is a
4th already.
Saturday.
Well, yeah,
Wanna go
but the
17th?
yeah, but they should
Monday.
be checking in. Their emails and whatever. Well,
I
additional,
would, I hate to interrupt, I'm sorry. I would suggest that you go, if the 15th is a Saturday, go the day earlier. If
Oh,
there's,
okay.
if there's stuff done, then I'll help Bailey adjust the ARPA letters as we need to, but then you guys have enough time to decide what you want to do.
Okay.
that works.
Do you want to leave it with no money in there right now? Because this will just get us our numbers, or how would you like to do that?
However it works best for you.
It's easier to budget
Budget
the
it.
money and take it out than it is to try to put it in after the fact. So we can
They have
put the
some-
20,000 in, or whatever you want to give them.
It's in there till 15th.
Yeah.
Then it finds a new home.
Do you want to do the 20, or what would you like to do? What amount?
How does that come out? Okay.
Yeah.
And they asked for it for general operating expenses.
Yeah, let's put a placeholder 20 for me, and then Bailey and Brady, if you could put language into this year's coming that says late reports will be reflected in a reduced award the following year, might. You, I mean,
How many reports are they supposed to have a year?
Just two, it was just one, I mean, the reason we asked for it due on May 31st is to provide you guys information for budget. The city does only do one, and theirs is in July, but their budget's different timings than ours is.
Well,
but
for
we
each,
wanted to
if the report's not in on time, then they lose half of what they asked for.
Well, and we had talked about doing it on a reimbursement basis too.
Well,
So
that's-
they
yeah.
requested upon reimbursement, so they have to show that they've spent that money in order to get that money. So
Yeah, and we.
Almost
And that
like
might
the ARPA
resolve the
funding.
problem.
Yeah, we can adjust, when we get back to that, we can adjust to however you guys see fit, and we can work with Jennifer to make sure all that language is in there.
Yeah.
Cause then that would stop.
But we know that this was, I mean, Kayla and I and Brady, we all talked about that this is the first year. It is a little new to them. We didn't want to hit them with the reimbursement piece right at front first. So, but the city also still requires all this stuff too.
Yeah,
Plus everybody else did it.
Correct. Yes, they did all do.
Come on,
I know.
yeah. I say 20,000 and you lose after the 14th. Yeah, this time you lose the whole thing. Correct.
okay, Family Promise, 7,500 requested last year, 7,500 requested this year. Or I mean, approved last year, 12,000 requested this year. You have an idea of what that's for? That's quite a jump, I'm guessing, but maybe how it costs.
Yeah, this point, right now. No, they were in, order by when they were.
Go up to their standard programming. Rental utility assistance, temporary shelter, and community-wide diaper and hygiene pantry.
Well, they're just having a bigger need.
Plus, it cuts off, you can't see, it says there's an increase in need for, and then it doesn't print.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, you have to have
Okay,
the.
any thoughts about it, commissioners?
See, it's a jump of 4,500.
Yeah,
I don't think that's that much, quite honestly. I don't think it is either, because if they're doing temporary housing and just everything's gone up cost wise as far as, you can't hardly get a motel room for under $400.
yeah. Okay, can we put 12,000 in there, please? Looks like the next one is Laramie Foster Closet. They have not requested this year and they have not reported.
Nope.
I'm sorry about that. That generally means that got administrative problems.
Yeah.
So, so that takes us down to relative theatrics, because I'm playing the game, right? 12 and a half last year, funded at 12 and a half, requested 20,000 this year. Thoughts on their request was any different than Amanda?
This one just says the funds will be used as part of matching funds for the arts and humanities grants to enhance cultural activities in Albany County.
Pretty big. It is a big jump. Well, it's a big too.
Yeah.
Oh, big?
Yeah.
Big.
I don't really do.
15?
Yeah, I could do that.
15, okay, let's put 15 in there,
Yep.
please.
Science level.
So Science Love Art, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000.
Science didn't do anything though. No.
Science doesn't love reports.
Yeah, they don't do reports.
So,
Or the art doesn't.
yeah, and so I guess we'll do what we did with Cathedral Hall, if that's all right.
You wanna do the 10 and then
Yep.
if not,
Developmental preschool is 5, 5, and 5. 5 seems fair for me, but
Yep, I'd say go with that.
moves us to Laramie Public Art. 10 requested in 2023, we approved 7,500. 2024, they've got 15,000 requested. I know the new sculptures are going up. I don't know if this plays into that cost associated coming in September.
Support for community programming, including drop-in programming in Optimus Park, public school workshops, and matching support for community engagement manager. For the position of community engagement manager.
I'd say go 10.
10, 12,
Okay. Let's give them what they requested a year ago.
10,
Mhm.
okay.
good with that?
Yeah, I think, Terry, you're up over 10. Were you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, so Epson Center, gasoline, 10, 10, and 10, looks like 10, and looks like they're 194 point, they're pretty good at budgeting that, looks like. If that's all right with the commission,
Yeah.
okay.
was almost thinking they might need a little more.
Yeah, Safe Project 10, and then requested 15 this year, but no report. So I guess
Right.
they find in that no report category.
Would you like them to have the full amount if they report?
Yeah.
Yeah, aren't we doing that with Cathedral Home, giving them the full amount if they report? Yeah, we were.
That was
So we
here.
need to do that with them.
That takes us down to regional airport. Approved 100,000 last year, requested 205,000 this year.
100 of that last year was in econ.
was
So
what?
they
It was split
requested
up
the same
last
amount.
year.
So
They're
they've
requesting about
always
5,000
requested
more.
about 200,000 from the county every year.
Okay.
That's historical.
Yeah.
But we've taken 100,000 out of the economic development.
These-
Which. Yeah.
And do you prefer all coming out of community partners with this, or do you prefer what we did last year, half and half?
I think all out of 1% is more sustainable.
Agreed,
Okay.
especially,
We don't even have half. We have 97,000.
yeah, we don't even have enough to
Right.
cover it right now.
Yeah,
And until, I mean, your next year's, you guys just approved the DMTI second floor lease today.
Mhm.
So we're hoping next year there'll be more funds in there to maybe even support the airport again. But that's also, I don't wanna drain it, like I was telling Kayla. If things, something happens to that property, I think you'd rather use that money to fix that than something else.
and then will this be reimbursement just like everybody else? So will the airport have to send us receipts to get the money, or how do you
We have
envision that?
not, with airport fair and library,
They did it on a reimbursement basis. Library and fair did it on
Yeah.
did
reimbursement.
we? Did we put them on our
Well, I
contract?
think
Airport,
that's-
we did not though.
Sounds like that'd be a good thing.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing
No, I think
for
it's
them to
good.
be accountable for their funds.
No.
too.
No, that's good.
Yeah, and I think that allows us to draw down over time, and if
Yeah.
they need it, so.
And then if they don't, then they don't, then they
Yeah,
don't, you
right.
know.
So commissioners are all right with the full amount of 205?
I am
Okay,
on a drawdown.
let's draw it out.
Can you look at a little bit?
Oh, yes,
See
I'm
too much
sorry.
over this
Park
thing.
Regional Services, 5,000, they requested 5,000 again.
Thank you.
Um,
That's much better. So we were having to grow.
It makes me, I feel fine with 5,000 with ARC. It's what they've requested.
Oh, very much so. Yep, yep.
Okay, Big Brothers Big Sisters, 10's across, so
Yep.
10 is fine. Okay.
Yep.
Laramie Plains Civic Center, 15, 15, 15.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Historic Railroad Depot Association, they're in the non-reporting category.
Yeah, same game.
Yeah.
See what that report's worth too.
Yeah, yeah, Laramie Reproductive Health, 21. Last year up to 4,600 this year. Can you give me a little bit on that?
It says these funds will be utilized to secure HIV, syphilis, whatever combo tests to increase compliance and awareness in Albany County.
So they asked for county-only funding. They didn't ask for any city. They came to the commissioners meeting and asked for that when they were talking about the syphilis testing and all of the things that they were asking for, yeah. So that's what that's for.
I don't have a problem with that.
No.
I don't either, because I know they were cut in other places, their funding,
Yeah.
so. And they're gonna be on a receipt basis too.
Yeah, they all will
Yep.
this next year.
Hospice of Laramie, because United Way didn't request anything.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'm sure yeah, okay. Hospice of Laramie, 9, they've requested 5.
Give them what
Yeah,
they requested.
Yeah, how about 5?
They
Yeah,
just
they
want
probably
that
find
bladder
that.
scanner.
What's that?
They just
Bladder
want a
scanner.
bladder scanner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right.
Last member.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then Laramie Soup Kitchen, 2,500, and they requested 3,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then it's Climb Wyoming, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Tell me if you're not good with 1,000.
Nope.
Okay.
Good.
Interfaith Good Samaritan, 20, 20, 20, but they haven't used 13 of it.
Is that it?
Oh,
Yeah, they said.
Yeah, Interfaith hasn't used $13,077 and 53 cents.
And
aren't they
didn't
doing
do a
some
report?
construction though?
Or they did do a report, but they haven't used
They
it.
did
They
do a
did do a
report. They haven't used the 13,000 amount and they have 1 month left technically to do that.
Oh, well then,
So I don't know.
guess we'll know in a month.
A lot of money, 13 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20.
And yeah, 20, so they
Might
only
be.
7.
What did they use the 7 for?
But they come
When
with
they
grand
filled out
opening
the
this
application
week.
again or something for that other.
That construction?
That's from City.
I thought, aren't they doing
Yes.
construction again or was that?
So I know they
Last
have
year.
had some damage
Okay,
to the new construction.
really?
Yeah,
Already?
yeah, that's mold, I think.
Let's see, last year's application said rent utilities assistance, food pantry purchases for housing and food insecure residents.
Should be able to use that.
Yeah.
Well, and Amanda's looking at their application. At their time of their application, they still hadn't used.
From the funding from the city and the county last time, which is a total of $31,919. They still had not spent $19,643.
From last year or the year before?
I do know,
Last year.
Interfaith did receive quite a bit of ERAP money. And that has ended. So I don't know if he was preparing for that, thinking that they would need a lot. I don't know.
Oh, maybe cut it back if they haven't spent.
Yeah,
Just 13,000.
Well, because they were asking 40 from the city and 20 from the county,
No,
60,000 total.
yeah.
And I don't know what the city, if they approve that or not, I don't follow their budget.
Yeah,
CSBG, I know we slapped their request.
Planning and design of new assisted living wing attached to the current facility.
is that a nonprofit? Regency of Laramie, is it a private profit, for profit?
They are nonprofit.
They're nonprofit, okay.
Well, how are we gonna sit on this then?
Right,
I mean,
and this is capital construction too, which. If that's, I'm guessing that's what it's for,
That's what it's, yeah.
well, we don't have to get in the full 50. We'll give them 25. That's what I do.
yeah, and I guess maybe put some things on it, so you can't use capital construction, or if we, I don't know if we've ever done that before, with community partners, have we used it for people to build buildings?
Yes,
Yeah,
well, now wait, I was
1%,
thinking
don't
of
think.
the rifle range building things, but that's not.
That's a recreation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
I don't know that there's necessarily restrictions because it's a 1% general optional. Now, if it's a specific purpose tax, if you're looking the other
Right,
way
right,
around, the
yeah,
specific
yeah.
purpose tax can't be used for any.
Yeah, so we're probably okay with this.
yeah,
So I think
Let's do
this is wide open. I mean, you've used it for your miscellaneous unanticipated things, which involve some construction things for the county.
Oh. And then.
yeah,
Just saying.
yeah. We're just opening the door. Yeah,
Yes,
I just
floodgates.
have to let you know, so, I think, is it a planning document that they're thinking about?
Doesn't
I
really-
think it was actually just for the planning piece of it.
It's just a planning piece of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
They actually came and met with Brady and I prior.
Uh-huh.
Would you be interested in all to see if the city approved? Does that matter to you guys at all? Cause they
Because they're
asked
doing
for
it tonight.
50,000 from the city as well.
Architect fees,
That's what I wondered.
Yeah,
so no actual.
no, actually construction, thank you. Yeah. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that's probably, you probably have that need to have additional room for that, for people there. So I could say 50,000.
And they asked for 50,000 from the city too.
Yeah.
That's a lot of architect.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
Was the city's for architecture too?
It was they asked for the funding together, so it's
Oh.
just split between.
Planning and design of, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's 25.
25?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
they pound a nail, that
Yeah.
might change it.
Right. Unaccompanied student initiative asking 75,000. That's a big ask.
Yeah, what is that? That's new.
So that's the students that, I don't know if they slipped through the system. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's like a housing for participants.
It's like unaccompanied homeless youth.
Oh,
I think it was from ages 16 to 20.
And it was for 4 kids, 4-bedroom.
well, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
And they pay someone that
Is
basically
there.
lives there,
Yeah.
takes them to appointments, helps them with schedules,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Where do they ask
That's
it
what
from the
was.
city
75.
as well?
Hmm.
So do they already have a building? Or are they trying to get a
rent.
building?
They
like this?
rent a house, I believe,
Mhm.
if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. Evidently, they have a
Well, those
program.
kids would eat a lot.
They evidently have a program in Laramie County as well. I think it looks like their biggest expense is the people. They have a director.
I was gonna say, are we paying for the director to be there?
Well, you have 4 full-time people at 32,000 a year. So they live there full-time and
The whole expense of the floor is 32,000 a year?
each.
Oh, okay.
Benefits and rent.
Let's pay for 2 of those people,
Yeah,
64.
that's quite a bit.
That's a lot, yeah.
Because they're asking 150.
Yeah.
For
Not that
kids.
these kids need to be in the system, but it makes you wonder how there's not some kind of, I don't know,
Yeah,
funding or state funding, but.
and I think they're dealing with college students, right? Is that?
Some.
It's
It's high school and college.
Yeah.
early
Maybe
college,
kids
yeah.
then.
'Cause I know that, I feel like when they were talking, they said a few of the, exchange students used that service instead of the dorms.
Because it's more affordable to them?
I have no idea.
Wow. Yeah, that's a,
And it's something that's never been asked before.
Yeah,
so I
it's
don't know.
new, completely new.
Let's go half.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm with you on that, Terry. Thank you. Volunteers of America, Northern Rockies didn't ask anything. They're asking for 20,000. These all get state contract, right? This is a
They
state
could probably,
contracted agency.
They are technically a nonprofit. They, I mean, we contract with them quite a few on some of our other grant projects. I don't know what state contracts they have, but VOA is like, there's other locations besides Albany County.
Yeah. I think they get mental health and treatment, money from the Department of Health. Yeah, because I know they have a treatment center in Sheridan.
yeah.
And then I think they have a place in Cheyenne, and I think they have units here, apartment units here, because they're the old Peak.
Oh, yeah, I
So,
believe so.
and what was their request for?
20.
20
Yeah, but
from the
what-
county and 20 from the city.
And what was the specific details of that? Like,
Enhance the general operations of outpatient mental health services. Yeah, the utilization of general operations funds to enhance, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Enhance. I know.
Right.
I know, Ken,
Jen?
but it is mental health. Well, I know, but I don't think we should be paying for paintings or
No.
anything like that. That's where I agree. That's where I'm drawing the line is
That
that.
doesn't really specifically.
Should we go
To the
12?
services directly.
I can, but,
Okay, 10's good. 10's fine.
all right, Pilot Halo Link, 15, and then 25. This will be the last one because I see Rachel in the room. Sorry, Rachel.
No, you're fine. If you guys want, you already
No,
arranged
that's-
things for me. You feel free to finish that. I have
Okay.
time. So no.
Is this before or
What's for
after
this
the,
for?
yeah,
After that $1 million grant they got.
Let's
I-
see.
If I remember correctly, I believe it's matched, part of the match for that.
This is to manage daily operations and maintenance and continue developing multi-use trails, user amenities in the main trailhead for 71, for the Pilot Hill Recreation and Management Area.
Well, I think that a lot of that $1 million is gonna go into that parking lot thing.
yeah,
So I think it's good to continue to build the trails, because I think the sooner that we get all the trails done, the more exciting it'll be. It's okay.
yeah. So can we put 25 for them, please? That takes us to Home on the Range, 8,500. They asked last year, we didn't give them anything. 7,000 they asked this year. You guys' thoughts on that?
0, that should be privately funded.
Do the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Common outdoor ground, 8,000 last year. We gave them 12,000 for Winter Lights Fest. Oh, excuse me, that's common outdoor ground, sorry. They asked for 12,000.
They're the ones out there building those trails. Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
The 12. Winter Lights Festival from Tough Guys, that's 5 and 5. They asked for 6.
I'd go for 6. I
do
too.
Yep. Robbie's House, 25. They asked for 25.
I'm happy with 25. I think Oscar's really working hard at.
Yeah, they're doing a really nice job, quite honestly. I agree with you, Terry. Laramie Connection Center, 25. Got them 25. They're asking for 30. at
Is this
point.
the one I was
This
asking
is
about
the
this morning? The
transportation.
transportation?
Yes, this
Okay.
is transportation.
Yes. That's fine.
And then let me leave the room. You guys can handle the downtown clinic.
Requested 7,500.
correct.
Give them 7,500. Yeah, I'll do 7,500. I have some issues, but. 75. Brady, you want to bring it back in, please?
So we're gonna have to look at how this is, we're probably
Just
200,000 over what we've done ever. in the past.
Really?
So we can leave it
Is that
at this
just because
right
we've
now.
had some new?
Well, some new really big asks.
Yeah, the big asks.
Yeah, I think
Um,
the combination.
We need to cut the
An airport,
apps
but
and.
we can leave it at this. We can go to Rachel and then we can always come back.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
This will
Yep.
just give us a starting point.
Yep.
Yep. Awesome. Rachel, thank you for
No, thank you guys for,
being willing to join us today.
yeah, happy to be here.
And however you want to conduct this,
Okay.
you do it however you want us to walk through us. And if we have any questions, we'll ask you.
Perfect. Sounds great. Yeah, so I thought I would just jump in and review a couple of changes from what is in front of you, and then kind of run through a couple highlights, just some what places that we are significantly over or under what we asked or not, just in our overall budget, and then I'll go down to our 1% request. So some changes. One, we did get our community, just to give you guys a heads up. So on that bottom section where we have grant funding, we did get our community partner number back from the city, which was about $6,000 less than what we asked for. Most of that we are just we're just taking that. A lot of that was programming, and we're just taking that away. So a lot of that was for our Early Childhood Coalition. We think we have opportunities to find funding elsewhere in the community. So we're just going to go find that. So that'll just reduce that overall number at the bottom for now. The other piece is I underestimated, didn't anticipate quite how much we had flattened out. And so I had built my budget over around 5% mill levy. Tracy has sent me, we're looking at a 3%. So that will obviously come out of that reduction. Yeah, there, thank you. That top, that reduction is going to largely come out, not largely, it is going to entirely come out of that personnel section. So we're hoping to do some additional corrections on folks' salary, and this will just not be the year for that. So that's where we will take that reduction of about $20,000 will just come off of that personnel piece. So those are the pieces that are changed. And actually, Kayla, would you like me to reconfigure and resubmit?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Once we're done with
Once
that,
we're
that would
done.
be great.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
can absolutely do that.
So
Okay.
Rachel, are we looking at line 5, the wages? Is that what you're telling us about the 20,000, or where are we on that? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it would become a combination of like really obvious, right? Since lines 5 through 8 are all kind of dependent on each other in terms of being a percentage of that wages. But yes, it would primarily be coming off of that wages line.
Okay. And so the new number would be what, instead of 762.5? Do you have any, is it 742.5 or is it?
I have it. It's going to be, and there was a little moving around and things. So I did oversimplify it because there's a little moving around, but the number that I have in my budget here would be 746,200. And then a reduction of those taxes and retirement and things below that. And I can get that updated and sent over to Kayla by the end of today, so you can have that fully updated.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I just wanted to make
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to like point out and these things because they're not as obvious in this format. So I just wanted to call through just a couple of places in our overall budget that we either had significant decreases from last year or increases. So the big significant decrease we have this year, as you can see, is line 19 or 15, I guess, if it's my numbering or the spreadsheet's numbering. Nope, down the building costs. So it's just that building maintenance line where we were at 49,000. Now we're back to 11,000. This is just largely because we don't have any special projects, knock wood. This year, we do need to do a roof repair, but this actually, I think many people, we've had roof money hanging out from an old spec for forever, and we get to use it. So we have that coming up, but that's gonna empty out a different pool of money. So other than that, we're looking steady. So we're just like back to normal on our building maintenance. Nothing, we've caught up with a lot of our major maintenance. Some increases I wanted to call out. So really there's 3 significant ones. One is a big increase in our postage cost. So overall, our postage cost has actually about doubled. And postage just costs more. And this is our cost. This is largely our interlibrary loan service. So where we're getting books for patrons from other libraries, or we're sending books out to other libraries. We do charge a small fee to help pad that cost. What I did, so that cost actually almost doubled. What you'll see there is about a $3,000 cost that I gave to the county. And then I've given a $4,000 increase over to our friends of the library. They're going to start picking up a little bit of that postage cost. So we kind of split the increase between the 2 entities. Personnel, even with that reduction, personnel overall did go up. The biggest increase though is just our benefits, which line that is. Yeah, so health insurance. So it's going to be line, yep. That is, we just saw it's a combination of some turnover in positions where people had been waiving insurance and then the replacement isn't waiving insurance. As well as this was the biggest increase that we've had in our insurance for a while. We did a few years ago switch over to the Wyoming Educators Benefit Trust to get our insurance through them, which is who the school district uses. Lots of school districts, a few cities use them as well. That's been amazing. It's been a lot, instead of being in having the pain of a small group, it has padded those increases where we had a couple like 10 and 12% increases, but this year we are back up to a pretty substantial increase. So that is where that biggest increase came. Then a small increase in wages. This is largely us just trying to stay reasonably competitive and try to be commensurate with the skills and expectations that we have for our positions. So we overall looking at about a 4% increase in our personnel line on those pieces. And then about a 36% increase on benefits. Of course, personnel on that one, that all stays under mill levy because that's our one funding source for personnel. And then the last big increase is going to be under technology. Lots of extra projects there. And I think it's going to be the technology purchases line is where you're going to see that big increase. We actually have 3 big technology projects that we're going to undertake this year. 2 of them are related to our big infrastructure grant that we just got. That infrastructure grant does not allow the purchase of anything that connects to the internet. But to finish the project, we need some things that connect to the internet. So we have asked the rec board to cover the conferencing cameras and conferencing system for those spaces that we are updating. And then this additional purchase, so that 32,000, 10,000 of that is just our everyday technology needs at the library to update from year to year. The additional 22,000 is for updating our security system. So currently for people to meet our meeting room and to make that work with our security system, we just don't have a security system that covers the meeting room. It covers the rest of our building, but not the meeting room. What we want to do once we have a new, shinier, nicer space is to have a fully integrated, a larger security system where then we can actually just shut down zones. So when someone has access to the meeting room, they have access to that zone. And as soon as they leave, they lose access. We're looking at a system that would allow us to have like timed entry with a scan. They can scan in and they have access to certain parts of the building. And to expand it, our current system is also about 5 years old and kind of limping on a last leg and kind of needs an update anyway. So that's that request, is just that upgrade to our security system and to be able to expand across our building. The other technology project that we're undertaking that is actually, we're asking the foundation to fund, but just so you guys have a heads up, is just a complete update to our public computer and printing system and to have a better management system for all of that. We have limped along on systems that were designed for business that we kind of tweaked to make work for libraries. So we're looking at a system that is specifically designed for public libraries, would make everything more secure for our patrons, would continue to have easy access and expand some services and make some things like making remote printing easier. This system, I've told by other people who have experienced in other libraries, things like people would actually be able to set print jobs from home and then just come into the library and pick them up. We're hoping by that ease, that's one of our revenue sources is actually printing services. So we're hoping that we can make it easier, push that out. Lots of people don't have printers, and actually drive a little more revenue. It's one of our hopes with the meeting room spaces as well, that when we are completed, we can push some rental so that both in printing and those meeting room updates, we're able to maximize those and increase some of our revenue. So that's kind of like, that's sort of the big overview things of what we're looking at and kind of the big things that we have going on. So then from there, I thought I'd just kind of walk through real quickly the 1% asks. The 1% in those, there's sort of a couple of things happening. One is because of those overall, actually, let me back up. Overall, we're asking for about $30,000 more out of 1% than we asked last year when all things kind of combined. part of that is to carve out some additional space in that mill levy to absorb some of those other costs, primarily that benefits increase, to move things over. So a lot of these things that are 1%, and I was walked through and kind of flagged, a lot of them were in mill levy last year, and we just moved over to 1%. So the first thing I have on my list in my order is just our copier and printer maintenance. Like I said, this is just our basic services and our machines. The new project would actually just overlay on top of this is just Xerox and paper and those costs. And that again, we had in mill levy last year. We've moved it over to 1% this year. The next thing is our IT services. This one has lived under 1% for a long time. Slight increase just because our structures changed. And so instead for our firewall system, that is now paid through our IT services contract. So it just lives in that line instead of in subscription and fees. Subscription and fees is just like all of the basic stuff that we need. So we use Bamboo HR as the county does. I think we use it for more than the county does. We use it for our payroll system, some of our benefits management, expanding that. Timekeeping, we use it for all of those components. That's that largest cost there. And then otherwise it's just, it's our scheduling software. It's just, $1,000 here and there for pieces of things we need for basic operations. Technology purchases, already talked about that one. So 10,000 for every day. About half of that will be used to start updating staff computers. And then the other half, or then that 20,000 is to upgrade that security system. The next request on my list is our WILD consortium fees. So again, as a reminder, this is just WILD is our shared system across the state. And so this is how we do this. So this is the cost for being a part of that. A small piece of it is a fee to be a part of the network. Most of that is we literally just take the cost of the system and divide it proportionally across all of the libraries that are in that system. So that's our piece of it. It is, you'll see at the bottom, it went down a little bit. There's a credit. I factored in a credit there that actually comes from the state library that they use federal funding to flow through and to try to mitigate a bit of that cost. The next thing I have on my list is contractual services. So again, this is one that had lived under mill levy that we did move over into 1% to carve out some of that space. But this is our elevator, our HVAC, getting fire extinguishers updated, those sorts of things. And then the final thing that you guys are well aware of, but we just moved the lines, what is our LGLP cost? So move that from mill levy over into 1%. I am happy to answer any questions about this or the library.
Any questions, commissioners?
So what was the last cost that you just mentioned?
LGLP, the liability insurance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have for warm, we are under the county. For liability, we have our own distinct account.
You just said those so fast.
Yes, and you've been in meetings since 8 a.m.
Yes.
Sue, any questions? So Rachel, I'm guessing some of this is because the capital project fund grant is $1 million. And so, you're expending through March of this year, just over $1 million. And then this budget request is 2.8 million. Minus the capital project fund, that gets us to 1.8. That's quite an increase in projects. And is that essentially what that 800,000 you describe it to?
So yeah, that's a great question.
I guess it'd be $500,000. So another 300,000 you could expect to spend the rest of the year at your current spend. So
yeah, and so a big part of this is that we've had a big turnover year, and so a big piece of that is also the big piece of what went unspent. Well, I guess you actually can't see that there is that personnel line. right? So we're looking at about $300,000 and that to date, from March. Sorry, my brain just went. So you can not look at numbers and just focus. So yeah, so part of that is regroup, and I haven't been in meetings all day. Part of that is our personnel. Let me pull this up. So I can give you what I'm predicting. So eventually, I can, as this comes up, I can give you an actual number, a chunk, and I will give you a number, better number of that is because we've had so many vacant positions over this year. So originally, in our original overall budget, I was planning, we do have a payroll reserve, which is reflected in there, and was planning on using about I think about 50,000 of that. We're actually going to add, I think about, this is where I'll find the number, but I think we're adding about 100,000 where we are just underspent in personnel. The library board's sort of practice has always been, once we put money in personnel, a commitment that we will just use that money sometime in the future on personnel. We won't redirect personnel money to a different line item. So yeah, so I'm actually, it looks like I'm adding about $115,000. So some of that like to spent, that spent to date difference. And that's what you're asking, right?
Yeah, just, it's another million over what you requested last year, and you haven't spent in all on your million or that you requested last year. And I'm just guessing that's projects, right? Is that?
Yeah. Okay. So, so like a $500,000 difference. Just, I'm going to repeat back to make sure that I am tracking with you, right? So you're saying, right, looking at that, 168,000 request.
Yeah. So at your current rate, you would be spending about 340,000 a month. And so at the current rate, you'd end up with about 1.4 million spent of the 1.6.
Yeah.
You are asking for 2.8, which is double what your current spend would be. And my question is, which was inartfully asked, is that mostly capital projects? Is that what you're telling me? And then some payroll, you're hiring more people, and insurance costs essentially.
Got it. Yes. A huge part of that is just that $1 million capital is going to be those pieces. Yeah. And actually this is great because I can pull out my pieces. Give me a second, if you don't mind, to just make sure that I give you a slightly more artful and nuanced answer. Okay, so yeah, it's a couple of different things. And partly is the weird way that, and I am open to suggestions if someone has a better way, the way that we reflect reserves both on income and expense to balance out. So in my spreadsheet, if I pull out all of the reserves and all of the capital funding, we're at about a $10,000. Then we would be at about a $10,000 increase from the which that doesn't note because doing math on the fly is a little, I was like, that $10,000 is definitely not right. I think then doing it on the fly.
Yeah, I'm not asking for any big
numbers. No, so
yeah,
so I think it is like those it is the capital project, that large project plus like those grant pieces. We still have county ARPA money for the water fountain that we got at the very beginning of the process. We were waiting because we knew that we were gonna demolish our meeting room. And that's where it was gonna go in. And so that will go in with the new project. And then some wage increases, some retirement increases, and then just like a smattering of like operations costs and kind of add up into that.
Okay, thank you. And Tracy, is 1,234,279, is that about approximately what the bills for the library are?
$1,210,769.50.
Okay, so it'd be about 20.
$1,210,769.53.
I don't care about 53. I know, we do things differently.
Yep, okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm done asking Terry, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate it. If we have any more, we'll find you and peppermint you, either email wise or whatever.
Yeah, you know how to find me.
Right, right.
1% to continue.
Okay.
Yeah, we can continue 1% or however you guys want to.
Okay. Just returning to the community partners.
I'll bring the
Yeah,
worksheet back.
those big asks, I think I would feel much better about it from Region Retirement residents if they gave us like a couple architect bids, and said, this is what it's gonna cost. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And same with unaccompanied student initiative, to not have a relationship and then to come out with 75 grand is quite an ask. And
Well, and I think it would be different, in my feeling, if that was for Laramie kids.
Well,
Then
it is and it isn't. I think you're right, Harry. Could
If
be-
I don't think we should be taking care of exchange students. But I'm all in for Laramie kids, but.
yeah.
And I don't know what their requirements are,
Yeah, and I don't want to speak to the nobleness of their mission. I suspect
Yeah.
No, I
it's
don't think that
fine.
was the point.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
just, if they ask 75 from us, 75 from the city, they would be the single largest entity asking from both entities. And Interfaith has been with the city of Laramie and the Albany County for 50 years, right?
And so a lot more.
Right, right. So, yeah,
Yeah, so where did we put for those?
So
You
for
have to-
Regency, you put 25, and unaccompanied, we put 32.5. Tracy, do you know where the city holds their budget at? Like, have they advertised it?
I think they advertise it, but they don't advertise it like we do.
And individuals, so we wouldn't be able to see.
I can go see.
I just wonder what they allocated, if they even did. I don't know.
I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen anything either. I
Yeah.
just would be interested to see what if they had the same concerns maybe that you guys are having too. Cause they get a lot of the same, most of the same asks the
Right.
county does in terms of 1%.
So there's the unaccompanied student thing. There's a program in Cheyenne, Casper, and Laramie. We're just looking up all the things.
Kayla, do you want me to send you the link to their budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can look and see.
Do you have your Teams open? I'm just gonna put it in Teams. I do.
So they would be the biggest besides the airport,
Yes.
You would.
by a ways. So it's them, the airport, and then the next one is 50 from Regency.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, yeah, I don't know how to do it. And I know that this is open to people, but yeah, there's not a nonprofit in there that doesn't need $75,000. But we can't fund them at that. So I don't know how to do that. I'm open for suggestions.
On the, on Regency?
Both Regency.
Both Regency unaccompanied.
You know, considering it's their first ask, I think if they get anything, you know, it'll be, I don't mean like $5, you know, but
Right.
let's drop it down to 220 for Regency. And the same, there are 2 new asks. We don't know
I don't care,
anything
that's
about them,
fine.
you know.
Yeah.
20 for both of them.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Are you okay with that, Pete?
Oh, yeah, that's incredibly generous. And I don't know, I think it might beg a different, do you have an idea, Bailey, of a first time entity? If there is some sort of, we need to see more stuff, how do you feel about it? Or do you not have a feeling? And that's fine too.
No, I mean, the Regency has never asked for anything, not to my knowledge from the county. Unaccompanied has asked for ARPA funding.
Oh, they did.
You did fund them in ARPA funding. I don't know
We
the
did?
exact number off, yeah, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. Brady, did they spend all that money? They did do a budget change during it though, 'cause how they wanted to spend the funds, their project wasn't quite on track enough. But they did spend all those funds. I think you do have, I mean, I feel like this community has a lot of nonprofits that all do great things. And I think there are some very well-established ones here as well that do have asked money year after year after year and don't change their requests, like just $10,000 across the board every year. So I mean, I kind of agree with you guys. I think not giving them these full amounts, especially they're also the newest ones and they're asking for the most amount.
Right, yeah.
Like airport, I think is a little high. I also know that the residency, they're like, well, we don't even know where to start. I was like, well, you could start here. And I did not know their request was gonna be this high. But it probably was just a place to start. I feel like if I was a nonprofit or getting money from the county, I'd be grateful for anything.
Right.
And I feel like that's how they should be. But I think.
And that's not to say they won't be, and they probably thought, where do we start, you know? If you don't ask for something, then you're not gonna get it, so.
I mean, I still, a lot of your 1% does go towards just operational budget items for these nonprofits because they can't get them funded anywhere else. And Brady and I see that, you know, every time we do grants, they're for specific projects, they're not for operations. So a lot of these are asking for your operations, which in our mind is hard to wrap around because we're so used to not doing that. But I think that these amounts are incredibly generous. I would even say just going a little more off percentages, Regency, maybe not 20,000 if you're doing 20,000 for unaccompanied, but I mean, the ball is in your court.
Of course, they're
You know,
for two
the
different
60,000
kinds of
was.
things. They are, just different. Yeah, they're not, you can't compare this.
Okay, it was 60, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
you. Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Well, I think you set a precedent for the next year, right? Even with these amounts. And so, I have to tell you, they can always come back if they need more. But for me, you know, their first year out of the blocks, I don't know, I'm down to 10,000 on each one of those. Because I think that's incredibly generous, but if
Yeah,
they need
and I
some
look at
more.
something like Pete, you know, we've had Cathedral Home for several years, 20,000, they still can't get it together to give us reports on time.
You bet,
know?
yeah.
And I don't wanna already assume that these guys aren't giving that enough information, they are just out, you know, first time and all, so.
Yeah.
And Pete, just for your knowledge,
Yeah.
one of the things, I mean, grants, policy, procedures are almost done, I promise.
Yeah.
And, one of the things we do have in there in writing is that any subrecipient, and we consider this as a subrecipient of ours, needs to follow Albany County procurement standard. So they would then have to also go out for 3 quotes if it's between the 5,000 and 25,000, and they'd have to go out for bid if it's above 25,000. So collecting the 3 quotes, they absolutely would have to do. Sometimes they just don't do it before the application.
So if we do those 2 at 10,000, where are we coming in on the 200,000 over?
About 155 more than we did last year, right?
More than last year, yeah.
So
Better.
I might have an idea to help you with that, Kayla.
Okay.
I had forgotten, because post-pregnancy brain, I had forgotten that we did pull Pete Lean revenue recaptures out and have them in their own account. I double checked with Jennifer because of just everything that has come up with each street on what we should be using them for. Jennifer and I both agree that airport is still a perfectly fine economic development piece, and there's about $160,000 sitting in that economic development account, which is different than this other one that has all this beach street in it.
Oh, okay.
How much is in there again?
About 160,000. That does not accrue very quickly. That only accrues about $35,000 a year.
I think it's on that same tab. On the
Yeah, it's right there.
Guys, I just would like to give a little bit more to Regency. Could we do 15? Just because it is a different.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, I mean,
senior
you're
citizen.
fine. I mean, this is a discussion. It
Right.
could,
Yeah.
it could change up and down several times.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with it. I just think that we need to see more, right? Like
More
uh,
information.
More information. Yeah, I would say, hey, bring us some idea what it's gonna cost us 50 grand. And then,
Or 100.
or 100 grand or whatever it is. And is that an expectation going forward every year? Are we gonna be thinking about 50 grand? Because that's a different conversation
Right.
in my mind.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
You want to look at offsetting some of the airport funds with some of those Pete Lean?
sure. And you said there's 160 something.
Yeah, there's about 160. You do just need to be careful because it doesn't accrue very quickly.
Yeah.
Because there's no.
And so you
rent.
said about 30,000 a year?
Yeah, about 35,000 a year. We did two BRC grants with Pete Lee before my time. One of them, we are receiving quarterly royalty payments from them, which changes. The other one, we are receiving monthly well payments, which is about $2,000 a month.
So why don't we offset that was about 35,000 to go into
70,504.
Yeah, I was missing.
to the airport.
Yeah.
And then we're not draining that, but.
How much did
Maybe
you
offset
offset
a little bit. What?
How much did you say?
Oh, I just picked 35,000 a year.
Like what is being brought in?
Yeah.
So take 35.
5,000 out of it.
Pete Lean and then rest out of that. 1 second.
You putting it in the totals?
Since I had it open, sorry. No, it's all good. That helps, the 1% then.
Well, and I think just the moving all of it, the airport, we were moving all of it instead of half of it last year, so we're probably 70 grand. Still more airport than we would have been last year, and so that takes us down about 540, which is,
Yeah.
we're about 100,000 over where we were last year. Or let me see, 340, so we're about 25,000.
Yeah.
It's the wrong call.
So we could leave it where it is right now.
Yeah.
And just see where that falls, if you
Yep.
guys are good with that.
Let's do that. Thank you. Yeah. All right. And
Kurt.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
However you want to do this, walk us through.
Okay.
Is fine with
Pull up
us.
your budget too, so that it's on the screen, Kurt, so that you can look at it, like. And you have to read it that small, no, just kidding.
It's also an eye test.
I will not make that, Miss Kayla, in a million years. That's
Also an eye test.
Didn't realize you're gonna have to do that today.
It's, Mr. Chairman, I'll just start going down the first sheet. The only increase we had was 665. I think we moved some money around to facilitate some salary increases. We were losing a couple of attorneys this year, and one is not, but one definitely was part of salary and cost of living here in Laramie. So we're trying to retain, not to say anything about the applicants we got, but we only got 2 applicants. There have been some counties looking for deputy county attorneys since fall of last year. People just don't really seem to be interested in this work anymore. So my goal is to keep the people I have so we don't have to have any turnover. But that was the only increase there. The red, I would have to defer to Amanda. I don't know how that gets filled in. That is basically like the benefits and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah, the benefits, workers' comp increased, and I think you had a little bit of longevity increase that you'll have, so that it's very minimal.
Okay.
It's just basic fringe.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're starting to tap into our trial budget for this year. A little bit more. We've got a big trial starting on Monday, so we're flying people from all over and putting them up in hotels. We didn't do too bad with trial budgets. Everything else seems to be covered. So we're not asking for any increases, just to maintain. And I don't think we exhausted all of our funds in any category except for the handbooks and the rules. We didn't realize that if we waited to do it too late in June last year, so we basically spent our budget for trial handbooks and that sort of thing the year prior and didn't realize what we'd done. So, but everything's fine. We have what we need. The only major change in the budget was in the 1% money. We had the adult misdemeanor diversion. That would be the next page down. That was nixed because Heather Carter was able to get the grant, which is covering all that. So she has that pretty much in-house with the county now. Big Brothers and Big Sisters had reached out to me in January of this year. We have been funneling more juvenile delinquents into their program. They have the same problem with getting good people to work there and to stay there. They've had some turnover. They asked for more money. So I brought them up from $34,500 as a request to $50,000 to give them some more money. It's not a lot, but we try to funnel all the money from the CGSB board. We may be getting some extra grant money we could funnel to them, but they do great work with the diversion program. And I just want to help them to keep going as much as they can. But that would be giving the majority of the money that would have been adult diversion would go back to the county to be allocated however the county did see fit. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Kurt. Any questions for Kurt on any of it?
And just so you guys know, when you talked about the 1%, 2%, and 3% increases, none of those have been worked into anybody's budget. I figure we could probably talk about that tomorrow after we go through everybody's, and then you guys can make a decision there, and Amanda can then plug that in however you guys see fit. But that is not in anybody's budget as of right now.
Thank you for that. Any other thing? Anything else? Thanks, Kurt.
Great. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Simple.
You paid us, huh?
Much easier. Thank you all very much for your time.
But Anissa's here.
Anissa, you ready?
I am.
Awesome.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about our budget. So the only increase I'm asking for in the human resources budget is for our drug testing. As you can see, we went over budget. And also the contract you all approved this morning, the prices are increasing. So they're going from $15 a test to $25 a test. We negotiated, it was actually going to be $40 a test. I negotiated that with Grand Ave down to $25 a test. So that's why I'm asking for an additional increase in that line, but everything else I've asked is to remain the same.
Commissioners, any questions for Anissa?
It's about as simple as it gets.
Yeah.
I tried.
We like that.
I tried. I'm not quite as slow as Tracy, but I tried.
Yeah. Anissa, just totally off topic, but a little bit. What percentage of the jobs are still remaining open at the county? Do you have any idea? Do we have any jobs open? And if we do, how many?
So we have right now I'm trying to remember what we have posted. We have a your part-time position posted. I don't know that we have any open other than Kayla's election that's going through the express agency. We just posted that on our website so that so that people go out and look there. We have some deputy positions. That position, the sheriff always leaves that open just because we have such a high turnover rate. But those are really about all we have.
Yeah, well, that's
So
awesome.
I imagine some departments are going to be, in fact, I know at least one department's going to ask for a new position. So I imagine we'll get it, maybe one of those or two of those throughout this process, but.
Just kind of wanted a
So
sense
far, yeah.
of how many were left out there.
Yeah.
So if we got to full employment, that might be X number to our bottom line, not reflected.
I don't want to speak for the sheriff, but I think he has a couple positions still open for detention deputy. But other than that, I haven't heard from really any offices that they have a strong need for.
Oh, that's such good news.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's temporary, but it's such good
Right.
news. Yeah. Awesome. That's the only question I had.
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Anissa. Stacy.
Stacy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome.
I'm way early, but you know,
Yeah.
I was watching from my office
That's
and
what
you
I
were
was doing
moving
too.
stuff. I'm like, I'll go ahead and go down.
I could be late if I don't run down there.
Right. Thank you, commissioners. I made a couple changes on my budget and it was more in just because of costs raising. None of my budget lines that I added money to have I expended the money that was allocated last year, but I added into my office supplies and my jury board, just because jury board can be out of this world or it can be nothing. It's just one of those hit or miss kind of things. You just never know. I added a little bit in there just in case. Also on the transcripts, you'll see there, I did add 4,000 on that one just because in the last year, the legislature approved an increase to the court reporter's fees. So transcripts for appeals will be a higher amount now. The other thing I am not certain about is with the coming of electronic filing. We're working right now on electronically filing appeals, and I don't think that will have any effect on the transcripts because the court reporter will still get paid for preparing them just because she doesn't have to make a physical copy of them. She still has to prepare them. So I think that cost will not go down. But that's what that addition is the anticipation of the higher cost of the transcripts for appeals. And we get a lot of appeals these days. So everybody appeals. Then on continuing education, I increased my budget there. Our president next year resides in Jackson. So our one meeting, our second meeting we always have in Cheyenne, but one meeting will be in Jackson. And she has moved that meeting to an off time in the season to try to get the costs down a little bit.
She got moved out to Lander.
I know, right? But I've added in a little extra for that. And then also I've been invited to the National Conference for State Courts in New Jersey, being the pilot court for pretty much everything that they roll out. It's been suggested that I go to this meeting because they discuss a lot of the things that we're moving towards at this. So I have added in that as a request as well. And then for 1%, Judge has asked that we put in the money that we put in last year for her to replace some things in her office. She currently is working with things that Judge Donnell bought 30 years ago. She has one drawer in her desk that she has duct taped shut because the desk is to that point. So she's asked that we put some money in again this year, the same amount, 2,500. So she could maybe look towards replacing some of that stuff in her office. And then I have put in a request for shelving for my storage unit out at Road and Bridge. I currently keep our overflow files out there, and they're ones that we get into quite often. And so I don't want to send them, and some of them aren't actually old enough to be able to send to the archives yet. But I have a large number of files stacked out there. And those boxes, as you stack them, they start to cave. And I would like to be able to get them on a shelving unit. I way overestimated what I would need there. I did this as a last minute thing, so I guessed. And then I went out there and counted my boxes. And I think I could probably go about half of what I put there. I put in 3,500. But I think I'm going to need about half the shelving units that I was thinking I would, just when I counted them up. So I think I could go probably 1,800 would probably be sufficient for what I need. I did order one shelving unit, took it out there and put it together to make sure it was kind of what I was going to need and would be able to stack the files high enough. And I think it'll be perfect for what we need out there. So that is that request. And Judge doesn't have any changes other than, like I said, the furniture, the budget for her remains the same. I think we're good with, we've done okay this year with our court-appointed attorney fees, and that's really the only one I guess I needed to look at.
Everything's the same.
Yeah,
on there.
yeah. So that is all I had on mine. Questions?
Yeah, thank you, Stacy. Questions?
No.
No, this is, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
So David's our own one. Yeah.
I can do mine.
We'll be here for an hour. I'm gonna run to the lake.
Okay.
We could take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, let's do that. How about that?
So.
Really?
All right. David, thanks for hustling down here. Appreciate it. I think we'll take you if you're willing to do the
Sure.
next slot here. So however you want to walk us through your budget, or you tell us what you want us to do. And
Honestly, if you have any questions about it, what I've requested, there's no additional requests in my budget. It's basically what it was last year.
Really? You just beat Tracy.
Sorry.
Commissioners, any questions?
Let me look at his budget real quick again.
Okay.
Well, see, the advantage of that is that he knows if he gets in a bind, he can come in.
That's how this works. Great.
Yeah, nothing changed with you, did it?
Well, he's gonna get
Yeah,
the
just,
prize for the shortest and the smallest.
Show off.
I didn't know it was a competition.
It's on now.
It's on.
Figure out where to take
David,
that
right till
500.
next year.
Right.
All right. Well,
Yeah, that's
if nobody has any
great.
questions for David, then.
I don't have any question.
Okay,
No.
David, thank you
All
for
right, thank you for
running
your-
down here.
The wellness program that you put yourself on.
Yeah, really.
Or we put you on. And then where would we head?
I can do my budget and then it's
Okay.
done.
How about, let's do that if you don't mind, Kayla.
I don't. So. Let's see here.
See you, David.
See you, David.
Thanks, David.
So I think the only thing that changed in my budget is travel and mileage. And that's just because with elections, Amanda, Stacy and I are headed, well, I guess that's this year though. But with elections, that's why, no, I know why I put it up, because of the SHRM conference. There's a possibility Amanda might go to the SHRM conference next year. So that's why I raised that by 1,500. And then I will just need to carry over my funds in 1% for my ARCA search because I haven't paid that out yet. But that's already been allocated, so we'll just carry that over. Hopefully they'll get me an invoice before the end of the fiscal year, but they may not. And then that's really it on my on my general budget, on my clerk, and then of course elections, and I'll bring that up. Because every 2 years, of course, when we have elections, I have to budget for elections, which we didn't budget for last year. So you can see. You can all actually see it. So training, elections, that's 1,000. And then, of course, you're looking at current expenditures, which is a non-election year. Travel and mileage, just because it is an election year, we're gonna have more of that. And then election judges, travel and mileage, 4,000. I think in 22 they spent 38, so we just in case, because the mileage rate did go up. So we upped that. Dues are the same. The meal stipend, we figured that in. The money that was paid for meals came out of travel and mileage. I don't know where it came out of in 22. Yeah, so that'll come out of my general budget. We made a new line for that. And then advertising, I mean, that's pretty standard. Printed forms will be, if we have to do any cards or anything, or ballot or envelopes, because ballot printing, of course, is a separate line item. So all of mine is pretty standard for an election year. Election judges, we upped to 50,000. I don't think we're gonna need that much, but upping the amount for the election judges, which we did in the commissioners meeting today. But we're also using county employees, so it may not be that much, but I don't want to get caught not having enough. There's a big chance we will not expend all of that at all. And then judges school, which we used to loop into judges. Amanda and I think it might be better if we break all of that out so we know what our actual expenditures are for judges school, for stipends, for actual judges. So we just broke all of those out. We don't have any poll book equipment because that's all been purchased this last year. And then just our general election equipment and repair for our machines. And then the new e-poll book support, which was approved for our MOU with the Secretary of State's office, that'll come out of 1%. So it looks like it's a lot because it's an election year. And then next year we won't have hardly a budget at all, you know. But if you have any questions on any of that, I'll be happy to answer the best I can.
I just have a question about FOIA requests. Where do those are expended out? Do they come out of your budget? Whose budget does that come out?
So are you talking about like the cost of a FOIA
Yeah.
request? It doesn't normally. Any of the ones that we have done, it's never been enough time that we've actually charged for a FOIA request. It doesn't take. I've never had one that we've had a high cost on. It's never been that extensive, most that we can pull a report. And Jennifer works with me in terms of election stuff. So we don't normally have any costs on that.
Super. Okay. I was just thinking about the election year coming up.
Yeah.
We usually request it electronically too.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. We can directly pull reports usually out of our WildReg system. And really a FOIA request is supposed to be that if it's a report that's already generated, we're pretty easy. I mean, if someone requests something, it's public information. As long as it's public, we pull it. It doesn't take but a second to pull that information out of the system, so.
Super. Any other questions?
I don't think so, other than 1%. I upped my our continuing ed, but that'll go for either if we decide to go to the Tyler Connect conference or if Amanda goes to the SHRM. Anissa and Jana go to the SHRM, that's the HR, but really they talk about payroll and the responsibilities that are in my office too, and are really probably imperative that Amanda goes to that as well. So I've worked that into the budget as well for her to go to that for next year. But other than that.
And when ERP comes online, will Bucks go away? Will XDBC go away? Which one of all of these, how many of these will go away?
Are you looking on the IT fund one?
Yeah, I'm looking on the clerk, the regular clerk, and I'm just going down.
Down at the bottom
Yeah,
there.
in the red there. The clerk, chip
So-
support, the treasurer, Bucks.
It would be Bucks.
Chips, XDBC, there'll be overlap probably in a year.
Okay.
Because we'll still have to run dual
Mhm.
systems as a legacy to verify that everything did come over the way it should have.
Yeah. So in 2 years, that should go away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, because we have our bill. Go to the same system we had. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a clerk's budget and elections if anybody has a.
Yeah.
All right.
Bailey, do you want to do your general
Yeah, I do
budget?
my office.
And Kelly, you'll send all of this updated.
All the updated, yep, I will. I'll update it and then I can update that OneDrive.
Super, thank you.
And I don't know, I'd have to ask Adam. I don't know if I save it, if it will automatically update that OneDrive. Do you know, Amanda?
The budget schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, not the budget schedule. The, like, if we change something in the budget, you know how I shared the budget folders? I have to ask Adam. If not, I'll reshare them to you so that they'll be updated. Yeah.
Do you want me to answer something?
Yeah.
I'm not sending this OneDrive. This is not in OneDrive.
Well, I know I pulled it over in OneDrive though, is what I
Yes,
said.
this is not connected to that.
So I'll pull it over after today with the updated information.
Wonderful, thank you.
Awesome. All right, Bailey, thanks.
So I'm like David and nothing's changing except for workers' comp. So any questions?
We're really exciting.
I know, really exciting this year.
There's some pretty tight competition here.
And mine's probably smaller than David. I only have 2 employees.
Yeah, really.
Any questions, commissioners, for Bailey?
Okay.
Well, that was tough.
Yeah.
I've got a new competition going. Now.
Yeah.
I guess it's a good one.
It
We're
is.
not trying to spend the most.
Yeah. Nobody's crying. Everybody's laughing. That's good.
Tracy, do you want to talk about revenues? Or when would we like to?
I did text Kim, she's trying to get out of here earlier. She said if you give her like 15 minutes, she'll find a place and call in.
Oh, okay. So when, is she gonna, she's not gonna zoom in?
Or, yeah, Zoom it.
Okay, perfect. We'll just watch for them. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Tracy? Do you want to look at revenues? Do you want to?
I sure can. I can. Up to the worksheet.
And can you share, Tracy?
I'm in the meeting, but I'm not a co-host.
Adam, can you make Tracy a co-host?
She's been a
Oh.
co-host.
What? Oh, look at that. You have the power. in your hand.
I kind of wield all that power.
Just a reminder to everyone, make sure you re-register for tomorrow's. It is a different meeting setup, so make sure you're set for that for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Let me get to.
Kayla, I did get that updated spreadsheet on your way.
Thank you. I'll get it updated on here. Appreciate it.
Share. That's the right one. Oh, it's super small. So.
Go ahead. I'm going that way. You're locked?
Yeah.
Where are you looking?
This is.
Already? I have.
Is that too small still?
A little bigger.
We're gonna need it bigger, Tracy.
Yeah, that's good.
That works. I can see that. Okay.
Thank you.
I can see it too.
Right through the middle.
I'm glad you wanted it bigger, so. I brought up my revenues because my office, of course, brings in the most revenue, so y'all can try to top. Good luck. Well, grants in total will beat me though, so. But that still comes in through our office. But anyway, the big thing is that, property tax, there was an increase in there. And sales tax has been coming in great. I can't find a better word than great. Most of these projections do come from the WCCA estimating manual. And sometimes I feel like their numbers are low. And which I guess is better to be conservative, in my opinion, too, than to, overestimate and come in. As always, PILT remains that last minute. We never know what we're going to get until we get it. Last year we got 1.7 million. I feel like we'll get similar to that again. It's already been signed and authorized for full funding. So it should probably be right in that 1.7 million, which of course then translates into cash on hand for next year, which helps that situation. When I calculated the cash on hand, I did use 1.6 million just to kind of be in the middle of what WCCA estimated at 1.2 for this current fiscal year and what I feel is going to come in. There's nothing that's really changed a whole lot in our revenue scenario. Last year, and this is preemptive and this can also change. You can see that last year we used direct aid to help fund postage, fuel, the auditor contract, copier lease, utilities, liability insurance, peace officer insurance and the property insurance. And we just transferred that money from direct aid directly into the general fund. We don't have to do that. We've done it so many years that I thought, well, maybe I'll just do it this year and you can see what it looks like. We can always take it back out. That does increase the revenues, of course, by the 1.163 million. I don't think anybody has a lot of, gotta bring up the totals worksheet real quick. Revenue, oh. A lot of decreases in their revenues. I think there are a few, of course, decreases in revenues, but nothing that is, we're gonna die if we don't get that title money or whatever. There's nothing really too big. So, I mean, there's increases here and there, and then there's decreases here and there as well.
And have you figured in any wind projects? I see the Wind Energy Gateway West in there. Have you put any of that in there, Tracy, or no point?
So that Gateway West, we really should rename that one because that one's already done and over with. We have some wind money that's sitting over in the Impact Assistance Fund that does need to be transferred through May. I think it was like 38,000 that we have to transfer over. I have not factored very much into there, I don't think, because I don't know when Real Tide's going to start. And at the time I did the revenues, I did not have the exact amount, I think, of where we were coming in with, where we would be at with Rock Creek or Real Tide, of course, but
okay.
It's tiny bit. I mean, I always put in a little bit per capita when they do the impact assistance because it increases the foot traffic in Kayla's office, my office, the assessor's office. It's mostly to cover paper and that kind of thing. Titles, cost of titles, those kind of things.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And if you have other specific questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
And then the SLRF or whatever those designated set of alphabets that they gave us $2 million. We've just put that on just kind of set it aside as a contingency fund.
On the
So it's SLRF or SLRFR. Remember last year we.
oh
So there's LATCF.
oh okay,
Which
is
is,
that acronym?
No,
and then there's the SLRF, which is
There-
ARPA.
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
all these acronyms. There's
yeah,
we learned more with our change management guy too. So
right. And that's just sitting out in a contingency fee or fund
So-
somewhere.
if you go on the, maybe I'll just switch what I'm showing here and go to the budget totals worksheet. And Amanda had been updating this, so it might not be the most current version because I was in a read-only copy. That is not sharing. Monitors need to be called. And much bigger. All right.
Perfect.
Is that good?
Yes.
Cool, I can read it too. So just to start, I'll just go through each tab of all the different funds. First and foremost, we have our county general fund, of course. You can see we have revenues projected for 16 million and expenditures for 17.7 million. That gives us a shortfall of 1.6. And then the estimated cash on hand as of right now, being conservative as well, is 3,053,000. Which means our budget is actually covered. But I do not believe, and Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, this column with the expenditures includes any of those increases asked for. So that $500 I want is not in here.
It is.
Oh, that mine is in there, but
The only thing that's not is the payroll, are the
changes in salaries.
Salaries,
If
thank
a
you, yeah.
budget
Okay.
specifically requested payroll changes, it is.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Scrolling over. We have the 1% optional. So as it looks right now, it doesn't look like we're gonna fully expend all the money within 1%, which would leave about cash on hand about 750,000. That number, of course, can change because people could put those requests in or get their reports in or whatever's the hang up there. The estimated revenue is at $1 million because we're already there for this year, so there's no reason to assume that we wouldn't be that next year. The county department requests are the 657,000. This IT transfer to the IT fund is to cover what would be expended out of that fund, including what's also would be transferred from direct aid if you see just to the right there. And airport is already in that community partners request. It's not in that specific line like we did it last year. And I think that community partner number changed since I got into this read-only version of Excel.
Yeah.
But that does still leave us, even with that higher number of 502,000 roughly estimated left to appropriate. Direct aid, legislature gave us additional monies. So we should be getting about the 2.7 million. The beginning cash, there probably will be some beginning cash left over, like with the ERP system. It's we haven't expended all of that, so there's going to be carryover. I kind of calculated the carryover of 500,000, but I didn't put the cash in because I'm not sure how many bills I'm going to get from Tyler or COA bills between now and the end of the fiscal year. It does have the transfer to the general fund in there, the other amount for the IT fund, and then the EMS contract. That is not 2 years, that should just be 1 year. Last year we had to do the 2 years because we missed a year. That still gives us a remaining balance without cash on hand of 463,000. The road fund. There we go. So our beginning cash on hand, we have for the last 2 years set aside that statutory maximum of 100,000 each year to the equipment reserve. I just calculated that in, and why wouldn't we? It's a good place to, keep money for those equipment, because once specific purpose tax is gone, I'm sure Rob's going to need a source of money for equipment. All right. All right, moving on to another small screen. Let me make this one bigger.
Okay.
Thank you. So on the left, we'll just keep going from the left. That's the employee health benefit account. As many of you know, we're self-funded on our insurance, but you want to keep a reserve. I think we're required to keep some amount of reserve as it is legally for claims that could come in and be incurred over and above we do have the stop loss, but we have to make sure we're covered for our maximum risk. So that's just all those fees associated with that. Our grants and special revenues, we just plug in 14 million because every time we get a new grant, we would have to come and advertise, public hearing, do all this for a new grant. So if we just cover it for 14 million, we know we're covered. Grant match. This is all of Bailey's good stuff because she wants to beat me in the revenues, which is cool. It's a good goal. The vehicle replacement, I don't know if that we have anything planned for that. I know the sheriff has the specific purpose tax still, so he's probably spending out of there rather than out of this fund. And maybe he can speak to that tomorrow when he addresses you guys for his budget.
Have we had to touch that, Tracy?
We used it last year for the 2 new all-purpose county vehicles. And we've used it before. That was one of the requirements, because we used to go every year to the SLID board and ask for money for vehicle replacement. And they wanted us to stop doing that and become self-sustaining. So we started setting money aside. We haven't used it heavily because we have that specific purpose tax in the last couple of years. So this next one is abandoned vehicle. That one's a statutory required account that we maintain. So we have to hold $1 for every citizen within the county in there. These fees are collected by Kayla's office during title. So she collects $1 for every title that gets put in here. Everything over and above that, the last census population, we can transfer into the general fund. It always runs behind because to do it like right now, we could get tow bills in right now for vehicles that are abandoned on the roadway. We pay all the tow bills for that. And so we're getting revenue in, but yet we're paying money out for abandoned vehicle sales at the same time. So I just do it at fiscal year and bring it back down to the $37,066. Commissary, that's just the jail's commissary account. I don't have the final numbers. That is the beginning cash for June 1, but I don't have all the numbers because we just started doing the vouchers for those. I'm recording the expenditures monthly, so I need to get those amounts updated. But I haven't got there, but it's fiduciary money. It's not our money until they purchase things out of the commissary, like candy bars or whatever they sell, shoes, stuff.
Toothpaste.
Yes. The contingency, that's one of our reserves that we have created as a county. I don't ever put expenditures in there. We have 4.4 million in there. I do need to add in May interest, but I don't think I've gotten the statements on that yet. But it's only the 4th day of the month. So that's where that is. Then we have the jail overage and endowment. Those were created from specific purpose taxes back in, one was 97. And I want to say the other one was 2001. I'm not positive of those dates, but those are those balances. The jail endowment, there's 1,067,000 that can't be touched. That's the principal core amount. We can transfer off the interest of that. So there's a little over or a little under 200,000 that would be available should we need it. But that interest money can only be used towards the jail for projects of that, things that need fixed or maintenance and things like that. The drug asset forfeiture. So when the sheriff's office has a cooperative drug bust, basically, we get a portion of that based on whatever our participation was. I don't know if you guys remember back probably about 10, maybe 12 years ago, the county seized an airplane. We got, I think 60% of the sale of that airplane. And that's where this fund was started. We get some from the state, we get some from local sources. And that's can be only used for specific purposes, like they can buy a drug dog, a canine out of there, training for those operations and things like that. Next one is just a fire reimbursement. We just plug a number in, so we wouldn't have to come back every time Chad or any of the firefighters go out on a fire. And that's clearly good. One is state, one is federal. Here's the economic development, the first one that was created. The only expenditures out of there are the utilities as of right now. And I do believe I need to probably update the disruptive medtech rent amount, because I think that went up, did it not? Because I have 5,300 in there for their monthly rent, so.
It's technically a separate lease. So I don't know if you wanna-
It's what?
It's technically a separate lease, so I don't know if you want to keep them separate.
Oh, the first floor, second floor?
First floor and the second floor are two different leases.
Well, that sounds like a lot of
Well,
work for Jennifer. Sounds like Sunny's.
The first one ends,
The numbers, I'll do it. But anyway, neither here nor there, that's the money that's going in there that populates that from the Beach Street property. The next one is the Pete Lean. That's the one that Bailey was referring to earlier. But if we put that, I think you said 35,000 for the airport into this, as it doesn't replenish very quickly. Yeah. Am I killing enough time?
Yep, no, this is.
Yeah, this is good, thank you.
Yep.
Guys are getting the whole education on all the different funds we have, and this is an abbreviated version of them. Is that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
So our county building contingency, currently there's that 675,000 in there now. I know there's the roofs, and I put a note on there because I imagine we'll have carryover that lasts over the fiscal year. Or I'm not sure where they're at on building on any of them, but. And then the salary reserve, this is the amount we have in cash. We don't have any projected expenditures. And if you chose to do a transfer in there, then of course it'd be in the revenue. ARPA, this is the original ARPA. The 385, that's how much cash is in there right now. Of course, there will not be any revenues, and I don't know what expenditures look like out of ARPA at this time, but that's self-sustaining basically. And same with revenue loss.
And that all has to be spent by 2026, is that right?
It'll also be obligated by 2024, the end
Right.
of 2024, spent by 2026.
Right.
However, obligation definition to the feds is either spent or under contract.
So pretty much spent by 2024.
So, I mean, we do in the regular, the 385 ARPA, there's the Eagle View contract, which is the flyover for Chelsea's office. And then, the broadband from IT, those contracts do go to 2026. So we'll be paying them after the 2024, but it's a contract and we also can't change that contract after 2024.
Well, that's exhaust that fund, those two.
Yeah, ARPA, the 385 ARPA will be completely gone by the end of 2026 with the contracts we have in place.
Okay.
The 387 ARPA, which is our revenue loss, there's about 50,000 in there currently. That is unobligated, that somebody approached me about a project we'll be bringing to you soon. And then there's also a contract that when we amended when we did the original contract, I wasn't thinking, and the contract doesn't end until July 31st with the fire department or fire district 1. And so it looks like there might be about 150,000 is what they estimated that they'll be giving back to us or unspent, that then you'll need to obligate as well. But and Brady was just checking a couple more smaller things, but not it. I mean, everything else should be pretty well spent.
Then we have the LATCF, which is not obligated, but we don't have a deadline or any kind of on that.
No, everything we keep finding for LATCF, there's as many rules as ARPA. There's hardly any rules.
Some of the other counties have paid loans back with it.
Correct.
Yeah, there's not a lot of restrictions on it.
No lobbying was the biggest. But that was one that we had talked about for a new facility, was using them.
The IT fund. Disregard the red, it's not in the hole there. It's my reminder myself to check to see where we are on a couple payments. But it shows the two transfers coming in and then what was requested. And ideally it zeroes out because it's a revolving kind of fund. Adam is really good on his multiple year contracts that if we're in year 1, he budgets 1 year, but if we're in year 2, but it's not paid till 3, he's budgeting 2. So he's carrying it over. Our new software hopefully will make Adam's job easier in that he doesn't have to track it himself on the what year we're in on those multi-year contracts. Impact assistance, as far as expenditures, I just plug in the cash amount because we can't spend more than we have cash anyway. Even though we're earning more cash, like Rock Creek, we're getting about 138,000 a month on our fees, I think. And then I don't think we've gotten Boswell Springs in a couple months or Chokecherry. And of course, TV flats and Eckla flats are fully collected. We're not going to get any more on those. Eventually, we'll be adding rail tie into here should that project begin anytime. This is the money we have set aside in last fiscal year for the Beach Street improvements with our original facility change, but now it probably could be repurposed for something else. But
I think we should rename that account.
Right.
Like maybe, I don't know, new building improvement or something, because it's not, Beach Street's not gonna be right that. So I wonder, just for
new facility.
Yeah, new facility or something, yeah. Just for ease of knowing what it is.
Right.
And then the last tab is all the specific purpose tax monies. So we still have a little bit from 2001 for those specific reasons. Rachel kind of alluded to using some of this money up for her roof repairs, which because they've already done the replacement, now they can use it for repairs, but it has to be on that roof. There's, a little bit left for, sheriff and that, and maybe I'm hoping to talk to him and just zero these out, use $163 for vests, Bailey. That's your match.
We can use it as that.
Yeah. And then we have the 2001 specific purpose excise tax overpayment, which the tax can't be shut off on the same day we're fully collected. So it has to be shut off the quarter after. You always have a little bit extra. We kept it separate in this case. And so those are the amounts that are available for that. The 2010 specific purpose excise tax has just a little over $1 million in there for road and bridge and equipment and roads. I'm not sure which improvements. I can't remember which improvements at the library, but maybe we can talk her into using that with the roof.
I can look. And you said it was at 2010, Tracy?
Yeah. Okay. Aquifer protection, that one was written super specific to Telephone Canyon and I-80 corridor studies. So that one's going to be a little bit tougher to utilize those funds. Perhaps there will be a project that comes up that is related to that.
Did that electromagnetic did that cost us anything? That
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm.
It cost us, did it come out of that already or? Cause there was
Yeah, I
like
think it did. I think it
75
did.
grand
Yeah.
or something.
Cause there was like was there 700? I don't know.
No, I want to say it was like 250,000 at one time, but I'm pretty sure it came out here because that's been
Yeah.
2 fiscal years ago, I want to say, right?
It's longer ago than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
And then the 21 spent, the courthouse renovation, could we use to zero that out on the roofing that we're doing right now? Or is that different than the renovation?
We've used, I think, I bet the renovation might be, I don't know if you're.
58,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to try to spend those out and so you don't have to carry them over for another 20 years.
Yeah. It has been handy to have that though, because I mean, that would include like some furniture replacement. So, I mean, I don't know how many of us have rearranged our office more than 5 times just since I've been in office. And the furniture is, you know, not in good shape. Like there's some furniture in I know in Kayla's office, you move it one more time and it's coming apart.
Mhm.
So that's been kind of nice to have that little bit
Okay.
of contingency there. I mean, we
Okay.
could use it on the roof.
I think we used some of it this year on,
Didn't we have a chiller, boiler
Yeah.
thingy?
because I think we
That's
talked
coming up.
about trying to expend it. So
Yeah.
look and see.
Now we're still collecting the 2018 specific purpose excise tax. You probably got my reports that I sent out on Sunday that we're pretty close. We need to probably start talking about those projects. I think if they move to do the replace residential property tax with a 2% sales tax, that scenario like the legislature talked next year, if we don't get this in place maybe before then, we might not ever get it. Just my own gut feeling, because that would put us at 8% and then people will want to go back to the 6. My feeling, because as a consumer myself, I don't want to pay more sales tax either. That makes all your vehicle purchases and everything else expensive. Groceries, well, I guess there's not food tax on some groceries, but anyway, so we're still collecting those. Those are the balances that are available currently as of the end of May for each of those projects. I'm sure we'll have overpayments in all of those once we do fully collect and shut those off. The bond fund, this is just a matter of this got paid from the wrong fund and it should be moved over into the county buildings project, the 21,000. And the $12 should be out. That's where the books show right now. I just haven't got it. That was a whole lot of information on a whole lot of funds. We do carry probably in the neighborhood of 292 different funds we track through the accounting software between all the different grants. Within that, we have $5,984 different accounts within all those funds. And I take it back, 301 funds.
Can you add some more to that?
No.
Well, you guys do
Do
a
not.
great job of managing those
It
and tracking them. Wow.
It's like the federal grants and a lot of that granting things, that's what the lion's share of those are. Makes it easier for Bailey to balance all those out, to work on her CFA. The other balance of the larger portion is all the fiduciary funds. So, all the mill levies, the school district, the hospital, fairgrounds, library, weed and pest, Laramie Rivers Conservation District, well, everybody who shows up on your tax bill, they have their own fund. The school district has several because they collect a lot of different money, but with our new software though, we're kind of streamlining. Things are going to be more standardized too. So we're super close to having our chart of accounts written. We are trying to make it also for the transition easier. So use the example, the general fund right now is Fund 100 on all of our reports. It'll be Fund 1000. We're making them 4-digit fund numbers so they can have room for growth in the next how many ever years, because we don't have that right now with our current system. And then like federal grants will be siloed at in the range of 2,000, state grants and 3,000s and such. And a lot of those revenue and expenditure numbers are going to be the same, but they're going to have 2 digits in front of them that mean like 50 will be all personnel and things like that. So trying to make it the transition easy, but yet allow for lots of growth.
Yeah.
So when we're long gone, people can be like, hey, they thought ahead. That's great. But okay, I'll shut up and let you.
Well, thank you, Tracy. That was good. I really thought that was good. This is kind of a quick little synopsis. I thought it was really good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tracy, can you send us that?
It's out on the public drive. Do you have the access to the? No,
I think I saved, it might have gone, I'll upload it in that OneDrive.
Okay.
For you.
Oh, thank you.
And I think it is on, so.
Is she,
There she is.
All right, let me stop sharing and then you can go back to your sharing.
There she is.
Hello. Hi,
Hi,
how
Kim.
are you
How are
all? It was
Good, how
so
are
funny.
you?
I saw Bailey's text. And I was literally just looking at the spreadsheet and I was like, oh, everybody's done. I should see if I could go early. And here you are.
Hey, well, Kim, thanks for joining us, especially when you're away from the office and doing some other things. But however you want to walk us through your budget, how little
Yeah,
or
no worries.
yeah.
Okay, sure. So I think one thing I want to start off with is for the clerical salary, I didn't hear what the county was doing, if they were on raises. So I left that the same for right now. But I think the big difference I'm looking here, I had to increase our vaccine funding because they're just super expensive. And then we're also expanding our travel vaccines. So we're adding cholera, rabies, Japanese encephalitis, and tick encephalitis, just because we've noticed that there's like a big demand, maybe not big, but there's definitely a lack in being able to get that. And so we are like vaccines, that's one of the reasons, plus everything is just cost is going up. And then I think the big one is that outreach funding. I did a big jump, but this is because I'm noticing how much we've spent. So, moving forward, we're noticing that the outreach and doing mobile clinics is probably going to be our best effort. Like going to be like this year, we're not going to do the Lincoln Center for our flu clinic. We're going to try to reach out to the school district and some of the businesses that we usually do, like Ace Hardware always lets their employees come over and they pay for it. Other businesses. So we're going to reach out to them and ask them, hey, do you want us to come to your work site? And we'll just do immunizations that way. So the outreach is definitely a little bit bigger, but it's very evident on how much it makes a difference. Like, for instance, that ACE coalition that Rachel and I do together, we were doing the week of the young child, and I was sitting there, people coming by, I'm talking about our immunizations. One gentleman came by and he's like, hey, I work out of the country. I'm trying to find somebody that will do my immunizations to go, I can't remember where, but sure enough, he walked in one day and he's like, hey, I'm here because you told me you're the ones that have it. So that was huge. And then also, I've been going to the Montessori because of my kids for the last 4 years now, doing outreach there, and I'm starting to see the benefits as well. I ran into one of the moms at one of the classes that we do, and she was like, I can't get my kindergarten to tell me anything about school. And then he came home from the day you were there and he's like, hey, we're doing a good job, mom. You take me to the doctor and the dentist and I get my vaccine. So it's really exciting to hear that the kids are learning. This year I brought our vaccine cooler and I was like, hey, I brought immunizations, and they were all like, no. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. It's popsicles. So.
Just wait
But
till you.
yeah, so I think, yeah. But other than, and then travel and office supplies, so we've had 2 years now, the PHRC budget has been cut. So we're gonna have to help maintain some of those costs with Zach's budget for PHRC for the last however many years. He contributed to our office supplies, so that's the increase there. And then I think that's about it. Do you have any questions, concerns?
Thanks, Kim. Any questions?
Questions or concerns?
Kim, it seemed like from today's meeting, they didn't fund you for the maternal child health nurse.
Yeah, they cut
position.
that one as well. So Bailey and I are going to meet on Friday and see what we can do. So that maternal child health full-time county position through the grant has been empty since I moved into the manager position. So we're hoping we're going to meet and kind of figure out, because it would be amazing to fill that position. We definitely have a need in town. We have a lot of young moms that are starting off, and it's a great program. It's free of cost. So that, and then I have a full-time state position. But that being said, I don't have anywhere to put them if I hire them right now. So I'm like in this weird little limbo. Well, I can hire you. How about you guys share the conference room? But
The
yeah.
one thing about Kim's other MCH budget is when I do budgets for an empty position, I budget for full family for insurance, as long as the grant covers insurance. So that's what's currently budgeted. If Kim makes an offer to somebody and they end up not taking insurance, or they take the single family, I think she's gonna be okay. But it's the unknown of that insurance that just puts us in that limbo stage. And it has been vacant since Kim stepped up into this position, so it's been a hard position to get filled.
We did talk, so, the state has made huge strides in making the state public health nurses a more competitive wage. So I think with the last wage, did I say rage? Sorry. They're at 90% of market value. So it's pretty competitive. So, I'm hopeful. I don't have the MCH position posted yet, because like Bailey said, we're going to meet Friday and kind of discuss that situation. And I'm hoping that when I post it, that I will get applicants. We do have, this was kind of exciting. We had one of the UW students, nursing students, do her rotation. And I got an email from the university. She had gone to her professors and she's like, I hadn't done my public health rotation before I picked my capstone places. And I'm wondering if I could switch and do part of my capstone at public health. So we have her coming. She'll start the end of June, the last week in June. So super excited about that, hoping that we can give her a good experience and maybe she'll apply. She's a senior, last little bit of school. So I feel like she has a big interest in it, and I'm hoping to start reaching out more to the university and maybe going to, I don't know, one of their lectures to talk about public health. Because it seems like by the time they get there to our rotation, it's their last, I don't know, quarter semester, I guess. And they are all like, oh, I didn't know that you do all this. So I feel like we can sell it a little bit more coming up. That's my hope and my dream.
Yeah. Awesome. Anybody else have anything for Kim? Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us remotely. Thanks for joining us on short notice. Really do appreciate it.
I did, but did we actually, I feel like if I missed anything, I've been in and out a lot. Did we talk about county raises or no, not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, tomorrow.
No, tomorrow
Okay.
we'll be doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow, do you have like a certain time for like that kind of stuff, or just whenever?
It'll probably be after we do all the departments.
Okay.
But if we're moving as quickly as we are this month, today,
Yeah.
Are you at a conference again
Okay.
tomorrow? We can keep in contact with you.
So,
and let you know.
yeah. Okay, we're down in Denver for the CDC does a pink book training, which is literally like the immunization Bible, and they like teach the whole class, and it's tomorrow and Thursday all day. So kind of cool because literally the CDC comes to do it. So like the people who wrote the book, so they have a lot of knowledge. So that's exciting. But yeah, if anybody texts me, I might be able to hop on because, cool.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
if
I
you have
appreciate.
And I guess if you have a thought
Oops.
about it and you can't meet us remotely, Kim, then maybe you just text it back to the person who says, hey, we're meeting about county increases. I'm all in favor of whatever that might
Perfect.
be.
That works. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Is there anything left for today?
No. Not.
I don't think so. Not right now. I can go through and update some numbers and send those out to you guys if you'd like.
Okay.
Make sure we got everything. Maybe Tracy and Sunny and Ned and I can go through real quick and make sure we've got everything for tomorrow, and I guess we'll just convene it tomorrow morning and.
Yeah, and I know the sheriff is gonna join remotely and he told me that that's, he's got EMA, Kate's got a little bit, but then,
He'll do his detention and.
yeah.
Sheriff budget.
And then after that, what's left after that?
Rob
Rob,
and Sally
Yep.
and Chelsea.
okay.
Yeah.
Bailey
And most
Adam.
likely, we probably can need about